2-mile track, 500 miles here in California. Start in the sun and end up under the bright lights of Hollywood. The green flag's in the air. NASCAR's racing on NBC. Strong start by Kurt Busch.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, obviously you want to, if you're in that position to lead, go ahead and do it. I mean, you know, because it's real important to have clean air on your car. This is one of those racetracks where you'll see a lot of drafting on the straightaways, but you'll see these cars spread out in the corners because you don't want to get that into that aero situation in the corner. So you see guys just, they get to the corners and just they all fan out. They're all looking for that air, for that downforce. Push those Goodyear tires down to the racetrack and get some grip.
Scott Riggs is stuck in that high groove, getting passed on the inside. That's Truex Jr. going by him. You see the colors on the ticker. Green indicates guys that are in the chase. The yellow, the guys on the bubble, like Casey Kane in 11th. The red, drivers eliminated, but are still racing for the win here in California tonight. Earnhardt Jr. up to 4th. Pit Road Report on Jeff Burton from Alan Bester.
Bill, Jeff Burton, very loose, very relaxed when I talked with him earlier this afternoon. He's had some troubles finishing races the last couple of weeks, not falling out of them, but running up front, leading laps, wow, that was close, and not being able to get the win. It's been a long dry spell. Burton says they think they understand what their issue's been in the final laps of races. They hope to come away with the big trophy tonight.
Scott Riggs has his hands full.
Well, he did after Burton took the air off the spoiler. And like I said, it's one of those places where everything is very aero dependent. You can get underneath the guy. We saw a lot of loose race cars last night. This track right now is slippery, and I mean, you'll see a lot of guys being loose right now. Look at how bad the sun is going into 3. That's what these guys are fighting. It's out of Jeff Burton's car, and what you do is you have a clear visor on your helmet, and then you put these dark tear-offs on. So it actually, it's like having a smoked visor, but when it gets dark and you get those visors off, you'll have a clear visor.
There's Riggs in the 10, Casey Kane right behind him, Matt Kenseth in the 17 on the inside.
And you're drafting here. I mean, straightaways are long, it's fast. If you've got 3 or 4 cars that are lined up on the outside and you're the only guy on the inside, you're not going to pass them. You're going to get passed.
You talked about the engine builders on the countdown to green. The wind here blowing down the front stretch from turn 4 to turn 1. That's where you turn the most RPM. They're really going to be hustling down the front stretch, going into the wind down the back stretch.
Yeah, you look at the RPMs, a lot of RPMs. They don't really drop in the corners. So you're, like I said, you're getting out of the throttle, but you're carrying so much speed here. You're always up there in the RPMs. You got something on 24, Matt?
Well, you see him running in line there, Wally. Now, he, like a lot of other drivers, he's got those dark tear-offs on his windshield. You see him dive to the bottom. Now, the big thing about tonight, Steve Letarte told me, they just need to keep their car in contention until the sun goes down. Then they feel like it's game on from that point on. And keep in mind, Gordon has 3 wins in the Coca-Cola 600, a similar type race where we start out in the daylight and then we go into the darkness. He seems to excel at a place where you've got to stay ahead of the racetrack.
All the practice here for the Nextel Cup Series was done much earlier in the day as opposed to the start time for this race.
I'm just pointing out, look at the hood of the 17 car, right where the W is. It's like it's sucked down around the air cleaner. I don't really see that on a lot of the other cars, but you could really notice it when it's down on when it's coming down the straightaway. See if we can get a better shot when it comes down the straightaway. So you'll see it'll be sucked down right on the W. See how it's sucked down on the air cleaner?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of strange.
That gives him more front down force.
Hey, running pretty good. 10th spot right now.
More on Kenseth from Dave Burns.
And interestingly, Wally, when they were going through tech today, they were banging on the front end of that with the hammer. Apparently NASCAR didn't like something they saw with the valence there. A lot of guys try to go through there with a little extra kick out on the front end, but they did have to modify it just a little bit before they were allowed to compete today.
Yeah, it looks like the hood is just really thin. You can see it popping up and down. Running pretty good. Like I said, there's Jeff Gordon took that spot away from Kenseth.
They did all their practicing at a time much different than the hours the race was going to be held at. A lot of guys in the garage were very upset about the practice schedule here as opposed to the race. These guys really don't know what they've got because they haven't been on this track under these conditions.
Yeah, I don't even know why they have a practice session in the middle of the afternoon, and there's a lot of guys did not run that practice session because the track temperatures were going to be 25, 30 degrees hotter than what they were going to be racing. Hey, let me tell you something. That completely changes the handle of your car, Alan.
And Bill, that's exactly the message that Kenny Francis, the team director for Casey Kane, told me today when I talked to him about if he was able to anticipate changes he would be able to make to his car as the sun set. He said, we literally have no idea what to expect tonight. We're just hoping we make the right adjustments. He feels like with his car's handling, as the sun goes down, it's going to lose rear grip. And that's what they're going to be planning for, but he said, really, we don't know.
One driver said it was like looking at a golf course in the middle of the night, then having to tee off the next morning when the sun was out, not knowing what you were going to get. Robbie Gordon has spun.
Stay right there where you're at.
In front of a lot of cars.
Sure did.
Looks like he's got a left rear flat, but we can't tell if that happened during the spin or before the spin. Doesn't look like he hit anything, though.
Fire, left rear flat.
Says he has a left rear flat, so he heads down pit road. First caution of the race. Fuel mileage is always a huge factor here at California. Only 9 laps complete. And we'll see how the guys up front are going to play it. They're more than likely to stay out, but the guys at the back will come for fuel.
You can see that there was the center section of the tire ripped off like Yaley's tire last time, the Busch car. He may have made contact with somebody that ripped that tire. A lot of guys do a good job missing that. A lot of times if you rub up against a guy, it'll slice the side of that tire, and then the center section will just come right off. It'll rip right off the tire.
So Robbie on and off of pit road. Kurt Busch is the race leader. Earnhardt Jr. second. Brian Vickers, Denny Hamlin, Clint Bowyer the top 5. They work down the long backstretch here under caution. Been a frustrating year for Kurt Busch. I was surprised to hear him say that they weren't disappointed they didn't make the chase, and a lot of that's been going on in the garage this weekend. The drivers are telling you one thing, but it's really what they're not saying and what they're feeling that you have to read into their comments and their quotes.
Trust me, they're disappointed. but what he's trying to do is say, okay, hey, listen, we didn't make the chase, so we're going to make the best of it. We're going to try some things between now and the end of the year and come out, Daytona swinging.
So they'll experiment during this race, so when they run here in California early next year, hopefully they'll have a strong run and put themselves in a good position early in the season. Pit road is open and everybody coming. Marty.
Bill, Ryan Newman started 12th. He's made his way up to the 9th position. The car's a little bit tight when he gets back to the gas. Now, these guys, like an NFL team, have named their pit stops. The play called now is called Cage Fighter. 4 tires, no changes to the chassis, though, for the 12 car. Dave?
2 tires on the right side for Matt Kenseth. They're going to try that early, see if it works. He also wants a track bar adjustment. His car is loose. Matt.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the A car started 6th, currently in the 2nd position. No changes for Jr. Says the car is neutral and likes it. AB.
Kurt Busch's team has already made an adjustment to the crossweight on their car, feeling like they might give up a little track position with teams taking 2 tires. Looks like they might have had a little trouble on that stop. Cost them a couple of spots.
A lot of traffic down there on pit road. Let's take a look at the Nextel race off of pit road. Casey Kane picking up 5 positions. Various strategies going on here early at California. Under caution in the Sony HD 500 live on NBC.
Back right here, they're going to show you one to go.
Race car's off, be ready.
Kane is the race leader after taking just 2 right side tires. Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, Elliott Sadler the top 5. Elliott Sadler also a 2-tire stop. And you will see pit strategy throughout the day. We saw it in this race a year ago, saw it in the spring. How you manage your tires and how you control your fuel mileage. Big factors here at California. Denny Hamlin in the 11, Dale Earnhardt Jr. looking under Elliott Sadler.
If he can see. The sun is really bad in that situation right now. It's probably the worst it's going to be. And you actually can lose sight of the guy that you're passing when you go underneath down there in that corner, because it just blinds you for a couple seconds.
Trying to keep track of some of these guys. Mark Martin started deep in the field, 38th. Restarted 24th after the pit stops. Jeff Burton.
Trying to get 7th away from Sadler. Looks like he's going to do it. And Sadler slides up the racetrack a little bit.
4 tires instead of 2.
Yeah.
More on Sadler from Marty.
And Bill, that was a 2-tire stop last time for Elliott Sadler, as you reported. And they had some problems yesterday in practice. The car extremely tight. In fact, Elliott would say the car was bouncing around on new tires. So what they did this morning, they put their teammate setup on. Casey Kane trying to make the car a little bit better. I asked Elliott, I said, can you drive the same kind of setup Casey Kane can? He said, I have no idea, but we're all going to find out together.
And that's something these Evernham teams have been working on. Jeremy Mayfield really didn't want to try and drive a Casey Kane setup, and they weren't getting a lot of exchange of information. And Elliott Sadler, when he went over there, said, I'm going to try it, see how it works out.
Whoa, man, Kurt Busch drove in there, got the car sideways underneath the 24. Now both cars have draft and help down the straightaway, so Jeff Gordon and Kurt Busch they went in the corner pretty even. Slides up the racetrack, Hamlin way way up there. Jeff Gordon had to back out of the throttle because he had that 11 car up above him, and he had to get out of the gas.
More on Hamlin from AB.
Hey, would you guess that Denny Hamlin told his crew before the pit stop his car ran well up high?
I believe you.
Yeah, he did. A little adjustment on the pit stop to try and help handling getting into the corner, but Hamlin running well so far, Dave.
Alan, Matt Kenseth has lost a couple of spots since the restart, but he radioed to Robbie Reiser, his crew chief, right before the restart. He said, yeah, we'll probably lose a couple at the start here for taking those 2 right side tires instead of 4, but we'll be okay. Matt?
And Jeff Gordon's dropped a few spots. He just told his team on the radio the car is good everywhere, but he still needs a little help on exit of the corner. Gordon was tight before that pit stop. He took 2 tires to move him up a few spots.
Gordon behind Kenseth. On board with Gordon. That sun's going to get brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And I mean, it's hard to explain, but I mean, you really get down that corner and you can't see for a second. Oh, 17 is off the pace. I don't know if he just slid up the racetrack and had to jump out of the throttle. That's what it looked like, because he's back up to speed now.
Jeff Burton looking under Jeff Gordon.
Man, these guys are really moving around. These cars are really sliding around right now. Look at how bad that sun is. Burton down in a 3. Trying to roll underneath Gordon. And this is where you need to kind of be ahead of him and drift up the racetrack. Burton's got a pretty good car right now. Gordon's not able to get on the gas. You heard he was a little bit tight.
Right.
So he's letting that car roll for a long time, and he can't get on the gas as soon as he wants to. That's why he's losing some spots from the middle off.
So teammate Kyle Busch behind him. Kurt Busch trying to recapture the lead. Falls in behind Kane. Denny Hamlin runs 3rd. More on Casey Kane from Allen.
Well, Bill, just before the caution flag pit stop, Casey Kane told his team they were better than where they were running. Remember, he was back in traffic a little bit, so they went with a 2-tire stop to try and get him some track position, some of that clean air on the nose of his car. He's got the lead right now. Kurt Busch talked about before the pit stop that the front end of his car, the aerodynamic part of that front bumper, was very sensitive, and he needed it to be right down in the racetrack all the way. They said if it was an inch up off the racetrack, it completely changed the handling of the car. So they made an adjustment to try and keep that front end glued to the racetrack and help his car through the corners.
Looks like they accomplished that. Hanging with Kane. Allen was talking about Kurt talking to his crew. Gets a little technical, but we listened in.
When the car has very fresh tires, I can drive up into the corner and I can feel the shock travel, and the car is down. About lap 4, they got loose, and the whole car just jumps up out of the racetrack, and now we don't have that downforce. So bottom line, I'm just saying the Dodge is very sensitive to being on the ground versus being up an inch or so.
And I think that inch or so he's talking about is when the tires build pressure. And you get that, that's where what he's talking about. When these guys first start and they put new tires on the car, the pressures are down a little bit, so your ride heights are down a little bit. The closer to the ground you can run, the more grip you're going to have.
You got more on this, Alan?
Well, just that it's part of, you heard Kurt talk about the Dodge. It's part of what Kurt and his team have been going through this year. Kurt has been driving Fords the last few years for Roush Racing. So he's not only getting used to a new team and the new chassis setups that have come rolling into the sport this year, but also the sensitivities of a different body style than he's been used to driving. It's all something a driver has to adjust to from the car, and I think it's taken Kurt a little bit longer to get the feel for some of that this year than he was expecting it might.
And Dodge will have a new nose and new hood for 2007. Matt Kenseth is 2nd in the championship standings. Is dropped back all the way to 10th. Dave, what's going on with Kenseth?
Well, Matt came on the radio right after you guys noticed that he had fallen back, and he said, "What was that?" The spotter radioed back, "We'll go have a word." And then Matt said, "Guys, the next time that happens, there's going to be a big wreck." Obviously contact with someone, not sure who, but it set him back.
Well, let's see if we can't find out who he might be talking about. Just a few laps ago. Kenseth in the 17.
Well, he just got a little bit loose up there. I mean, the 31 wasn't really close enough to take the air off. I mean, it didn't help, but it looks like he just got pinned up there and the car got loose. Dave?
And Matt just radioed back to the crew explaining a little bit more. He said, and he was talking about Jeff Gordon. Okay, I know he didn't mean to run me like that, but the car is so incredibly loose right now. I need some room out here.
Yeah, I can see that, you know, where Jeff kind of slid up the racetrack, and maybe Matt had to avoid that a little bit, but had nothing to do really with the 31.
Because it looked like Gordon had a good run coming off the turn, and Matt did not. Kasey Kahne, a winner here last night. Used some great pit strategy. With about 55 laps to go, got him into victory lane. But don't take anything away. He had a very strong car and a strong run last night for Kahne. Kasey 11th in the championship standings. So you can see how close it is right now. More on Kasey from Allen.
Actually, Bill, it relates to the guy that's racing in for the lead there, the 11 car, Denny Hamlin. I talked with Denny and his team's transporter this morning. He told me about his championship position. He said, really, the only car we're racing out here is the 9. Trying to make sure we stay ahead of him and gain points and lock ourselves into the chase. Funny that now they're racing for the lead here, huh?
Exactly right. Kasey Kahne out front in California with Denny Hamlin and Kurt Busch chasing. Just one race before the cutoff after this one. Kasey Kahne from Washington trying to claw his way in.
Four of them here behind us. Try to figure something out. Outside, he's there. Outside. Outside. There, still there. Clear. Clear. Looking outside again. Outside. Lined up. Bottom. Right on your quarter. Clear, clear. Right behind you. Inside, coming back to the yellow, June. Coming back to the yellow. You got a copy on us now? Yeah, you copy?
System with the power of
Hope these guys come in.
Yeah, 0-10-4. They're all coming in. I would imagine they're all coming in. We're coming for 4.
That thing turned in the middle plenty good now, you know, you just got to do something to tighten up that exit.
We'll put a little air in that left rear. Make sure the finger arm is effective the most.
Be open, quickie Allen.
No matter what they do, but hit 4 tires.
long stroll down pit lane. Bottom of your screen right now on that 29 car. The car was loose earlier. They helped it a little bit with the track bar and air pressure adjustment. Kevin said, I want to do some more of that, but not the track bar this time. Let's just do the air pressure adjustment, see where we end up. It'll be a 4-tire stop for the 29 car. Matt?
Dale Jr. stopping short in his box. He doesn't have an issue with the 25 of Vickers leaving. The concern for Jr.'s not the car, it's a radio. He can hardly hear anything. The team says no changes on this stop for Dale Jr. Amy?
Going to be a 4-tire change on Casey Kane's car. They're going to pull a spring rubber from the car. Looks like they did that on the left rear. And away he goes, so not bad for having pulled that spring rubber out. They have to hesitate just for a second, that extra move on the stop.
Trying to improve the handling of the car. You see the race off of pit road.
This would be Jeff Carr, Jackman of the #1 Bass Pro car. This is for you, BP.
Some hard-working guys down there. We had to stop leaving. Check that out.
Guys kind of give us a heads up on stuff like that.
Leopold Kane has been kidnapped.
Did a good job of them 2 tires. I mean, really, the only guy it worked for was the leader. You know, us 17, everybody else kind of fell back there. So we'll just keep that in mind. Good fun.
We've been good. I did go to the other radio, didn't get nobody.
Okay, that's 1 to go right there, June. A lucky dog outside, lucky dog outside. There you go.
I know we ain't had good communication here the first part, but what is your water temp, just so I know? 219, 218. All right, 10-4. Just as the sun goes down, I'm going to ask you again just to know if we can put tape on later on in the race. I mean, that's fine right here, right now. But just, I'll ask you here in a little bit so you'll know why. 4. Just so y'all know, it's isolated inside the car, whatever the radio deal is, because Tony Jr. and Steve, I had the same issues with both of you. Yep.
Thank you. Nice job on pit road, guys.
Everybody be ready, pace car's coming off.
This is for all the little reasons that are bigger than NASCAR. Introducing the NASCAR Foundation, created to support the causes and charities that mean the most to all of us.
Get involved. Show your...
Side. 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 Clear. Outside. Outside. Side. 5.
The race. See Boyer down underneath Burton. That's for 3rd spot.
Teammates right there. Drive for car owner Richard Childress.
Got to be careful of pinching a guy off here in the corner, because if you're Boyer on the low side, and you're underneath another car going through the corner and you're too close to that car on the outside, it can turn you around. It takes the air off your spoiler and you can spin around real easy. That's why you can't go into the corner side by side just leaning on each other. Real tricky here. Whoa. Yeah, I mean, that 2 car's been doing that all day. Earnhardt Jr. had some trouble on that restart. He was 5th on the restart, and he's back to 13th right now. I don't know if he missed a shift or what happened, but Matt, what happened on that restart?
Well, he just came on the radio and said, driver error, apologize for that. I just messed up, meaning he missed a shift when he was starting to go through the gears on the restart.
That's what it looked like, and if you do that, and 40 other guys don't miss a shift, you lose a lot of ground.
And we talked about this at Indianapolis, and it's very similar here. The field gets strung out. Restarts here can be a real adventure.
Let's listen. Let's see if we can hear what happens. You know what? He didn't miss it. He just didn't anticipate it. He was way down on the RPMs when they threw the green. Those guys took off, so he didn't miss a shift. He just didn't time it right.
He was laying back, then he closed up, and then he had to get out of the gas, and then they went and left him.
Yeah, and he sounded like he was in too tall of a gear, too. I don't know if that was the case, but regardless, I don't think he'll let that happen again.
Earnhardt back in 13th. Carl Edwards right behind him, then Tony Stewart. That green car is Brian Vickers.
And these 3 guys love each other. Whoa, 17 a little bit loose.
Jeff Burton for 2nd. Boyer, his teammate. Kurt Busch back to 4th.
And you can see how they fan out in the corner. They want to get away from each other going through this corner. They need all the racetrack they can get. Track is still very slippery. These guys are hanging on right now. They're looking forward to the track cooling down. Cools down, they'll get a little bit more grip with these cars.
All right, let's take you through the field, starting with Allen.
And starting with the race leader, Denny Hamlin, Bill, who comes into this race tonight, 6th in the overall championship standings and a chance to lock in his place in the chase. Not really many complaints about the handling of his car so far. He thought if he could get out in front, he could make some time, and he's doing just that. 2nd place runner is Jeff Burton. He's just taken that spot away from Kurt Busch. Jeff Burton loves the pressure of the race to the chase. He says this is what professional sports are all about. I can't wait to take my shot in these 2 races. Matt?
Allen, his teammate in the 07, Clint Boyer, the only thing on his mind, getting this car to victory lane. Had a great career, best at Indy, finished 4th with this race car, on his way to a 3rd until they lost the engine. The car was loose earlier and then a little tight. They made an air pressure adjustment, currently rides 3rd. AB.
The 2-tire stop for Casey Kane earlier got him some track position, moved him up from his 9th starting spot. Now they took 4 tires on this last stop as Casey tries to race his way into the top 10 tonight with a top 5 finish. Kyle Busch, a chance to lock in his position in the championship. He's running 5th in this race. He took the green flag back in 10th position. On the last pit stop, a 4-tire change and an air pressure adjustment for Kyle Busch to try and help the grip on his car. Matt?
His teammate Jeff Gordon has his hands full with Kurt Busch in his mirror. His other issue, like everyone else here tonight, is battling the sun early going.
It's a huge problem. You know, I think a lot of drivers were concerned with it last year, and you know, I understand for TV purposes, East Coast, West Coast, you know, you want to have a race start at a certain time, but you know, I think we also need to take into consideration the safety factor of it out there on the racetrack, and I don't think it's fully being taken, you know, into consideration, because honestly, no matter what I do with trying to block the sun and as dark of a shield as I can possibly get, that sun is so bright here and so strong that I pretty much go into turn 3 blind for a good part of the beginning of that race.
Gordon trying to get this car back to victory lane, but he hasn't had a top 10 here in Fontana for 2.5 years, Dave.
And Matt, the 29 car of Kevin Harvick, they're talking about vision as well, but shade overcoming the Speedway. Car owner Richard Childress, along with Kevin Spotter, telling him where people are running and where the shade is going over the racetrack. It can change the way your car handles, Alan.
Well, some tough sledding here for Kurt Busch in the Blue Deuce. He was running second just a little while ago. Now he slipped back to 8th position, reporting he has no rear-end grip on his car. Doesn't like the last adjustment they made on the pit stop. As crew chief Roy McCauley says, we'll undo it next time, Dave.
Matt Kenseth is running about where he restarted. Remember, he had an incredibly loose race car. Those were his words. They made a chassis and an air pressure adjustment to try to help Matt. Matt?
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. you saw trying to bounce back from that early miscue on the restart. Now Junior's other concern, radio issue. The Dixis, the earplug connector that goes into his helmet. But like everything with this driver and this team, they continue to progress with maturity.
There'll always be radio fights. We're pretty much like brothers, and we're always going to have our disagreements, but there's a whole lot more respect back and forth now. We treat each other like grown men, and instead of just little punk cousins. So it's a big difference and a great weight off my shoulders this season, and his too, I'm sure.
Dale Jr. was 10th. Now it looks like he's going to lose another spot to Tony Stewart, who was pinned on the bottom. Stewart said earlier the car was extremely loose, but we are going to be in great shape. I am just cruising, and it shows as he tries to take another spot from the 17 at Kenseth, Marty.
Man, I would describe Jimmy Johnson's progress as plodding forward. He started 16th today, currently up to the 12th position for Johnson. He was very tight, having no front grip up high on the racetrack. Did several things to fix that. One, he moved to the bottom of the racetrack. They also made a wedge adjustment, and he dialed in a little more rear brake to the car as well, Matt.
And Carl Edwards in the 99. Now you heard him in our pre-race show talking about the fact that he's got such a huge hole to try to dig out of. Now he just wants to get this car into victory lane and work as Junior bobbles a little bit down on the bottom, just trying to get this team back on track like they were last year, AB.
Well, Greg Biffle with an outstanding record here at California Speedway, trying to get some wins before this season ends. His chances to get into the chase, well, they're pretty slim with just 2 races to go. Biffle says his team just waiting until darkness. They think their car will come alive then. Matt?
Brian Vickers started on the outside of the front row, thought he might have his best shot of scoring that first win, but the car too tight in the center while he's trying to run the bottom. He's tried to move up to the high side to see if that will help fix his bias issue. It hasn't yet. Snyder?
Mark talked to Pat Tryson, the crew chief for Mark Martin this morning, and he told me, you know, I want to make it to lap 50 and try and be in the top 15. Look at this, lap 44, Mark Martin from 38th to 15th. They've made it through the part of the race they were really concerned about. They have made no changes on both of their stops. They, however, have some radio problems, not with Mark's radio. Someone's radio on the team is sticking. They've been having trouble finding it all afternoon long, Bill.
Thanks, guys. Those are the top 15. Vickers, Sorensen, McMurray, Nemechek, and Casey Mears, the top 20. Every car is on the lead lap.
And that's very, very aggravating what Martin's talking about. Having the radio stuck open. Here you see Kenseth and Kurt Busch running for position. That, if you hear that, it's very, very annoying. Because all you're hearing is noise or background noise or whatever, and it's just shut that radio off.
Alan?
Bill, we're going to continue to see Kurt Busch in that 2 car slide back. He said the back end of his car is so loose right now, wiggling around, that he just doesn't want to get too close to anyone for fear he's going to wreck. A little while ago, he called into the team and told them to go get a new right front spring ready for the car, just in case. Perhaps some concern that the right front spring on that car may have gone sour.
If he stays up high, Kevin Harvick trying to clinch a spot in the chase.
Don't forget, those guys talked about trying some things,
right.
You know, the 2 car of Kurt Busch, so maybe they went in the wrong direction.
And they'd rather find that out now than when they come back here in the spring. Harvick in 8th, Kenseth in 9th. Right now, Denny Hamlin, the rookie, out front in California. 2 wins this year, both at Pocono, in that exact car. It has been a remarkable season for this rookie. Now, can he race his way into the chase?
Well, you run some great laps. You'll catch them in no time. Just keep hitting your marks.
Clear by 8, back to the 16. Clear high. Clear all around. 3 car lengths back to the 16. Clear.
About a 5-lap, 10-lap window there going into 3 where you're blind. Doesn't matter what you have. So if you're going to wreck somebody, that's a good time to do it because you got a good excuse.
See the different colors on our ticker indicating the drivers in the chase, those on the bubble, and the ones that have been eliminated. Jeff Gordon, the new race leader. Hamlin is second.
Jeff Gordon's clicking off about the last 5 laps, he's clicking off some pretty good laps.
I thought Marty had a good point with Jeff Gordon on the countdown, is that Gordon has not had a lot of good racing luck at Richmond in recent years, and he would love to put it away today here in California.
Yeah, if you can go into Richmond without having that pressure, it'd be a lot more fun. That's pretty tough.
They got to fight that for a while yet.
See the RPMs on the right, top speed over 197, 200 miles per hour going down into these corners. That is hauling the mail.
And they have that tailwind down the front stretch. Wind blowing from turns 3 and 4, turn toward 1 and 2. Then a headwind down the backstretch, looking into the sun. This is for 5th. Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch. Busch trying to make the move on the outside, Alan.
Yeah, Bill, been a little while since we've gone back racing. Kyle Busch's crew chief told me this morning they didn't expect their car to be lightning fast early in a run, but it stayed and held its lap speeds better than most in the field, at least during practice, as we went later into the run. So we may be seeing some of that start to kick in now for that 5 car.
Keep an eye on that. Got the position from Stewart. Defending champion of this race. This is back about 10th. Jimmy Johnson has 10th. Carl Edwards is 11th. More on Johnson from Marty.
Bill talked to Chad Canalsi, championship leaders crew chief, this morning, and he said, you know, we really need to try things now for the chase. So the setup under that 48 car is the setup they would love to use at Kansas and Homestead. Chad told me that's the racetrack that really, this racetrack really translates to those 2 racetracks in the chase. So far, so good for Jimmy, hanging in the top 10. Matt?
Looking back at the 99, you can see him dip on the outside. The car was tight earlier, just trying to work on that balance. As you can see him draft the 48 of Johnson down the backstretch. Dave?
Now, Matt Kenseth had some changes done to his car. He just radioed into crew chief Robbie Reiser. Still a little bit loose. It's better on top of the track, but it's really tough to draft. He was up behind Junior for a while there, you saw, but that makes his car even looser. That's pretty tough. And Robbie Reiser reminded him with the sun, now you got to hang in there for about another hour on that deal.
Hey, Dave, you got a second?
Go ahead, Webb.
Can you update us on what we saw on that crew cam with Truex's car?
Yeah, what had happened was they let the jack down, or it dropped accidentally early and came down on the left front tire. They popped the wheel on, but hadn't tightened any of the lugs yet. So it crushed that left front fender. They had to pull that back out, and when he restarted, having run near the top 10, he was 42nd.
And up to 23rd right now.
And that's unusual for those guys. They won that Nextel Crew Challenge.
Yep, that's right.
In Charlotte this year. So here's going to be a change here. I tell you what, Kyle Busch is on the run. He's got 4th spot from Jeff Burton right there.
We've seen this here before.
Yes, we have. Boy, off the throttle a long time right now.
Jeff Gordon is the all-time lap leader here at California, but led only 2 races in his last 7 before today. He's out front by a second over Denny Hamlin, Casey Kane, Kyle Busch, and Jeff Burton.
In that middle, just a little too good right when I pick up the throttle. Pull.
Stand for about 14 away. Now, this is rolled over on the right front, pushing center. Pushing in the middle. Feels like I'm on the right front real hard to spring. Clear. Inside. Clear by 2. Clear by 3.
He was fun to watch last night. I mean, he drives this racetrack pretty loose.
Yes.
You can watch him come through this corner right here, and normally you see that glove go to the right. So I mean, and that's why I think he's one of the, better drivers around this place. He really hangs it out. Hey, B.
Hang banging it out. You're talking about Kyle Busch in that 5 car, right?
Yes, sir.
That's what's going on. The back end wants to step out on him. They call it a loose race car, hoping to make a little adjustment on that in the green flag pit stop that's going to come up a little less than 10 laps from right now.
Speeds at the line.
Kyle Busch, fastest that lap.
Saw Kenny Wallace and Bill Elliott fall off the lead lap. Tony Raines has also fallen off the lead lap. But Gordon in the lead by 2.2 seconds over Denny Hamlin. So it's a rookie chasing the veteran, getting close to green flag pit stops. We'll step out and come back to
Outside. 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 Clear. Clear. Your radio is breaking up pretty bad to me.
Shannon, you're a little weak and you're breaking up a little bit.
Is that better? A little bit better.
They just run me a couple more. Couple more.
finishing third after some outstanding pit strategy by the Kane bunch. And there you see Kevin Harvick's huge lead over Carl Edwards and company. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 8 car is 6th. Mark Martin in 7th. Martin 9th in the championship standings right now. Earnhardt Jr. 10th. Mark was fun to watch last night because his car was so good.
It really was. His car was just hooked up. He had him, I mean, he had him pretty much covered, but like I say, Casey Kane, that team gambled that there wasn't going to be another yellow after that last pit stop, and it worked out for him.
And they came back in, pitted on lap 94, came back in under the same caution on lap 98 and topped off, and that gave them enough fuel not only to get to the finish, but to celebrate his win and drive the car to victory lane.
Boy, Earnhardt Jr. using all of the racetrack and then some. Up in the dirt and the marbles that time.
Jeff Gordon on pit road. Green flag pit stop. 75 laps are complete. Headed for you, Matt.
Started the day out 5th in the championship standings, and like a lot of other drivers, knowing just a maximum point kind of day will help solidify your position for the chase of 2006. The 24 guys up on the wall. Gordon makes his way into his pit box. Easy entry. The car extremely loose. More so down in 3 and 4 than 1 and 2. Steve Letarte calling for a small air pressure adjustment. Like Wally said, you don't want to over-adjust at this point with the sun setting, Alan.
Casey Kane has pitted from 4th position. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. You see that wrench there being twisted to try and help the handling of that car. 4 tire change here on the 9 car, and they'll look to send him back out. Kurt Busch also in, looking for some chassis adjustments on that car. Remember, the back end really wiggling around on that machine. You see that wrench, 1, 2, that 3 turns on that bar in the back of the 2 car, and we expect to see the new leader, Denny Hamlin, on pit road momentarily. Matt?
And Tony Stewart, the defending series champion, making his way down pit road. Now Stewart, his car was loose earlier. Recently, though, he said his car was sliding the nose at both ends of the racetrack. Greg Zimpanelli calling for an air pressure adjustment. Don't see a wrench in the back window yet. Looks like nothing there. As far as Dale Earnhardt Jr., his car was loose on entry, tight in the center, and loose on exit. Tony Eury Sr., his cousin and crew chief. Oh, the 0-1 of Nemechek getting into his box, slid through. He had to back up as Stewart was making his exit. You can see the wrench in the back window. Junior air pressure adjustment for the 18. Marty.
Matt, this radio problem still exists for Mark Martin's race team. It's really bad because he was supposed to pit 2 laps earlier. The team couldn't get to him because he couldn't get on the radio. The car's just a little bit tight. Mark said if we do make an adjustment, make it a small one. Quarter round of wedge in the right rear. Allen.
Denny Hamlin gives up the lead for a pit stop. Going to make an adjustment on the crossweight on the right side of the car to try and help it turn a little better. A good 4-tire stop for this team. Jeff Burton is in just in front of him, Dave.
And the 17 car of Matt Kenseth is off of pit road. He said, what are you going to do to tighten up this race car, crew chief? They made an air pressure and a track bar adjustment. Kevin Harvick also on and off of pit road. His car very loose. They adjusted for that as well. Allen.
And Kyle Busch is coming in after a lengthy discussion on his team radio over his car's handling. Look for crew chief Alan Gustafson to try and make a chassis adjustment to get the back end of that car stuck more, especially on the exit of the corners. That's where Kyle was struggling with it the most. He's been very proud of his team's pit stops, he told me this morning. He said his crew's been performing at a very high level. They just want to get through this race tonight and next week's race in Richmond without making any mistakes on pit road. That looked like a pretty solid stop.
Certainly did.
These guys are so good in the pits anymore. I mean, it used to be they'd get anybody to change tires and jack a car up, but these guys are all athletes now. They all work out. They all work at their pit stops. I mean, it's fun to watch these guys make pit stops. They're really good. And
there's a lot of peer pressure there, too, because you want to not only beat the other guys on pit road, you want to beat the other teams within your own organization.
That's right. That's right. And, you know, and there's a lot of pressure on these guys. I mean, you make a mistake anymore during a race. That one mistake, it's hard to overcome in a race. Everybody is so good and so consistent. You make one mistake and it could ruin your day.
Been a good day so far for Jeff Gordon. 4-time series champion, 3-time winner of the Daytona 500, 4-time winner of the Brickyard 400. Would like to get a win here in California.
Still there. Clear. 17 coming with you. Nice job, buddy. Nice job. Lap run in front of you, the 49. Caution down for the Brady turn 2.
NFL Sunday ticket from
The caution for Earl. Impact straight away. Pit road is open. Just be ready.
got to be more nimble.
What were those guys?
Do you think we need to tighten the car up at all from this point? Stay out.
You are watching the
to go against Dante Culpepper and the Dolphins. That's Thursday night, and I'm looking forward to Sunday when that what's his name, the quarterbacks the Colts, goes against Eli Manning and the Giants. So that'd be his brother Peyton Manning going against. So Peyton Manning and Eli Manning on Sunday night, Colts and Giants.
Well, it's common knowledge that the older brother normally has most of the talent. That's what the older brother? Yeah, the older brothers get more of the talent in the gene pool. So.
I would agree with you on that.
Okay.
I would agree with you on that. That's first time in 5.5 years, but I agree.
We finally agree on something.
Now, most of the leaders stayed out under this caution, but some guys deep in the field did come back in, and this happened just a moment ago.
Yeah, 19 gets trying to get to his pit, and Ryan Newman gets into him. That's not normally how you want to get into your box. Luckily, nobody got run over on that deal.
So Elliott Sadler pointing the wrong way on pit road, but they got him turned around, got him back out on the track. Under caution here at the California Speedway, that's Ken Schrader in the 21 car. He's the lucky dog.
Watch that 19 coming. We'll let you know where he is. Hold on, that 19. Go, 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 go. Clear up. Dig, 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 dig. Watch your speed. Look for the 45 on the outside. 4,700 there. 4,700. Go down here, so it's probably going to drop another half, 3/4 of a pound just because of the sun going down. So I just wanted to make sure I don't go too far. Anybody there, Jeff?
better source than NASCAR.com. For exclusive content and live racing action, go to AOL and NASCAR.com.
Ford is looking. Caution here in California. Jeff Gordon, the race leader. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Casey Kane, Tony Stewart, the top 5. Marty.
Well, Bill, the radio problem is not going away for Mark Martin. And what happens, white noise comes on the radio as if someone's radio is open for about 30, 45 seconds, and then it goes away for 5 minutes or so. They're trying to track down whose radio this might be on the team. But Mark came on the radio himself a few minutes ago and said, guys, you have please got to help me with that radio. It is awfully distracting.
And when Marty says white noise, that's not a band. It's just you hear all this static and stuff. And I'm telling you, when you're running these cars at 200 miles per hour, that is very distracting. You know, it takes everything you can to focus on what you're doing, and that'll bother you. And Denny Hamlin is focused right now on the high side for the lead.
Kyle Busch on the low side. They split Jeff Gordon, and he falls back to 4th and may lose that position. Top 17 cars did not pit. Matt.
Nothing on the radio about the restart, Bill. Just during the caution, he said the car still loose. Looking at the track temperature has come down, but the track hasn't tightened up, which is the usual trend here in Fontana.
Boy, he's in the way right now. Busch leads. Kane in the 9, Hamlin 3rd in the 11.
And they are stacked up
right back in
there.
Yes.
From about 4th on to 40th. They're scrambling.
Bobby Labonte and Jeff Green are racing for the lucky dog. These guys are racing for the lead.
I don't know what the hell happened. Just pushed real bad going into 1.
Still pretty tight back there. 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Casey's cut that margin in half from 90 down to 43. There's Jeff Gordon. The 24, Earnhardt Jr. trying to get around him. Matt.
Trying to work his way back up to the point, Bill. Fell from 1st down to 6th. All he said on the radio was, the car just picked up a tremendous push when I went down into turns 1 and 2, and he had to wait on the throttle, thus allowing everyone else to work their way around him.
And he was strong when he was in front, but right now back in traffic, he's got his hands full.
Yeah, they're just stacked up on top of each other right now. And we talked about it earlier. You can want all the air you can on your car. And right now, in this traffic, it's hard to get all that grip in traffic that you had when you're out there out front by yourself.
Jeff Burton, that 31 car, trying to step out of line and make a move, looking back from Gordon. Talk about pressure in the guys in the garage, but you know it'd be a huge relief for Gordon to lock himself in here so he don't have to think about it next week, especially as frustrating as 2005 was.
Yeah, I mean, you could, like I said, the pressure on this week but it's even going to be worse at Richmond.
Right. That's why, yeah.
I mean, so you're right. If they can come out of this race comfortable, anybody for that matter, it's going to be a lot more fun for them next week at Richmond.
Saw Steve Letarte at the hotel earlier this week, and he goes, yeah, if we can lock in, I can finally sleep for the first time this summer. Crew chief's thinking about it all the time. Burton in that 31 car behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. Allen
trying to pick his way back toward the front, Bill. Jeff Burton started in 7th spot. Remember, he moved up in the opening laps of this race, then fell back when the car's handling went away. He said, we lost our ability to turn in the center of the corner. The crew made some adjustments on the last pit stop, including air pressure out of both left side tires. And Burton seems to like those adjustments. He's moving back forward, Dave.
And Alan, I want to touch on something that Bill mentioned earlier, the fact that these guys practiced in the heat of the day all weekend and just now are getting into a different type of situation with the track temperatures here. Robbie Reiser, the crew chief for Matt Kenseth, told me we just are starting from basically square one at the start of this race. We have a setup that we think will work, but we'll be adjusting on it all night long, and you've heard all the adjustments that we've been talking about down here. It's who can work the best from a clean piece of paper at the start of this race, Bill.
Hey, Dave, you be careful with Robbie Reiser. He's been pretty grumpy this weekend. Have you noticed that?
I haven't spent a lot of time around him, so maybe that's just as well.
Wise move on your part. During practice here on Saturday, Matt told him he needs an attitude adjustment. Robbie just small little grin, then went right back to work trying to keep his team focused now that they've already clinched a spot in the chase for the Nextel Cup. Burton and Earnhardt. Burton is 6th, Earnhardt 7th. On board with Earnhardt, looking at Burton. And you and I were talking about this last week after the race. You look at Bristol and you look at Indianapolis, where Jeff Burton had a car that you really thought was going to win the race, and then, you know, the last quarter or so of the race really wasn't competitive.
Yeah, it seemed like when they came in for their last pit stop to cap it off, to cap the win off, they disappeared.
And Burton told me yesterday, he said in both those races, the car just got so tight and they couldn't get the tightness out of it. And the more they worked on it, the worse it got. Alan, that's similar to what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, Bill, I had a similar conversation with Jeff Burton this morning. The one thing he wanted to point out, he said at Indianapolis, our car's handling was tight, no front end grip. He said because we were out front all day, we were able to hide that from everybody. But when we got shuffled back in traffic by some two-tire pit stops, it unveiled a flaw in our car. He said at Bristol, we really aren't sure what happened to us there. And he said, I don't want anybody blaming my crew chief that he couldn't make the right adjustment at the end of this race, because we're just not sure what happened in that one. Matt?
Alan, AB, the A team hoping that their problems are gone. First they had issues with their radio. Then Junior said they had a vibration. Hasn't said much about that lately. But the one thing about this team, Junior said he felt like last week at Bristol was their defining moment. They went from 40th and they finished 3rd. Escaping all those minefields. Now he just wants to have one of those nights here in Fontana, score a win, and then go into next week with a little bit of a cushion so as to not have to depend on what could happen on that bull rig that decides his fate. Right now, he is running solid in the 6th position, trying to run down Tony Stewart in 5th.
These two drivers want to cement their spot. And while this goes on, for 6th, there's some rather aggressive and intriguing racing going on.
I'm telling you what, this is like 20 or 26, but it's great stuff. These guys are running side by side, 3 abreast. They're all over the racetrack. These guys are running as hard back here as the guys up front are.
And Riggs started it up near the front in the 4th position after finishing 4th last week. He dropped right to the back at the beginning of the race. But there has been some aggressive racing back there, and they're really fanning out when they go through the turns. You've been watching this bunch, Alan?
How'd you like to be a crew chief who said his goal for the day was for his driver not to hit anything, and see your car back there in the middle of that?
Good luck.
Yeah, that's the story for Kurt Busch and Roy McCauley. Made some adjustments on the last pit stop. Kurt said it's a little bit better. Dave?
Scott Riggs thought he had a much better race car than it showed. He was stayed up in the top 10. Bill, as you mentioned, he started well up in this race, but then fell back with a very loose race car after the 2nd pit stop. They've been working their way back on that. He's only made his way up to 17th.
Casey Mears is back there. I really thought he'd have a strong run here tonight. Mears is back there. Reed Sorensen in the 41.
Well, this racetrack, I mean, don't count them out yet. I mean, this racetrack may come to some of these guys. If they're really, really loose right now, yep, they're holding on. As long as you're in the lead lap here in Fontana and you can stay there, this racetrack is going to change a lot. And you're going to see guys in the front all of a sudden disappear, and then we're going to see guys in this pack somewhere that are going to be up front before this race is over.
30 cars on the lead lap, and there's 151 laps to go. So you got time to work on it. Marty,
yeah.
What are you watching?
Well, Bill, I was wondering if Wally read the playbook for the 42 team. That's exactly what they're talking about. You know, they've been loose this entire time, fighting no rear grip, but they think the racetrack will come to them later. This racetrack is going to A, get tighter, and B, the racetrack is going to cool down. That should add more grip to the racetrack, and that's what Casey loves, a little more grip in the racetrack.
Thanks, Marty.
There's Mark Martin right now. Yep. He's sliding back. He went across the stripe there in 17th spot.
You have to believe he's really hoping when the sun set.
Well, Marty, did they make the wrong move, or is that radio just bugging him?
No, he made some contact with someone, Wally, and damaged the right front fender a little bit. They had a little bit of a fender rub. Mark said also the car is extremely loose right now. Quite a handful.
And right now, Mark Martin, 10th in the championship standings, only 26 points ahead of Casey Kane. Earnhardt for 5th around Tony Stewart. So Earnhardt Jr. trying to march to the front. More on the 8 from Matt.
Bill, similar issues for the 8 of Dale Jr. and the 20 of Tony Stewart. Jr. says his car just sliding the nose terribly from the center off. That's exactly what Stewart was saying about the 20 machine as well. Just no grip in the front.
Casey Kane drives car 9, started 9th. Last time he started 9th was at Charlotte in a race that began during the day and ended under the lights. That night, Casey Kane went to victory lane.
To those who say NASCAR isn't a sport, they may be
You all right, Steve? Buddy, oh yeah, you're doing great, man. Eat them up.
got about an inch or less of tape left before the sun will be absolutely miserable heading down into turn 3, Alan.
Denny Hamlin has fallen from second back to 4th place now and hasn't said a word on his team's radio since that restart. No complaints about the car's handling, no observations, just logging laps it appears at this point, Matt.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. running in the 5th position. Jr. says the car too tight, hoping for the next pit stop to try to free it up. It seems like whichever driver it is, whatever condition you're experiencing, it's magnified at this juncture of the race.
Matt Kenseth runs next. Matt started out in the 9th position on this last restart. Has picked up a couple of spots, and with himself locked into the chase, we asked him what matters about the next couple of weeks.
I think it's important. I think it goes back to like we were talking about momentum. I think it's important to keep that, and I think it's important to keep, you know, myself, all the team members, over the wall guys, everybody, you know, performing at a championship level, and you know, working as hard as we can every week. So, you know, really this business is about trying to win races and collect trophies and do all that stuff. And every race is a big race. You know, even though you're in the chase, you still want to get as many points as you can. We'd love to go in and be the point leader. That's how you have the most points starting. So we're just going to do the best we can every week and see how it turns out.
And as caution on the racetrack now is Brian Vickers has a problem, Bill.
He's had contact, heavy contact.
I think the left front tire looks like it blew on that car.
Yeah, sure did.
Because that's what took the fender off. I don't know if he made contact with somebody before that. You see he made contact with somebody in the right rear.
So the caution is out. Jeff Green will be the lucky dog. That's on the back stretch. And when that tire goes,
yeah, it just rips everything apart.
And this really falls into the hands of some of the guys that didn't pit under the last caution. There you see the tire go. It's gone there, actually. Bits and pieces all over the place. This is on board with Dale Jarrett. All we're going to see is the sun.
I actually saw some smoke there. I thought I saw some smoke. No, I did see some smoke when he went down in the corner. And he felt it. It was like he felt it going. He got out of the way, but. So I mean, they really got to fix that fender because you can't run a car like that here. You won't even be able to run minimum speed without a left front fender.
And you have to check the suspension parts as well to make sure everything's going to hold together for him. Too bad. Brian had a good qualifying run. Had high hopes here at California. So the caution is out and the pit road will be open, and these guys are all going to come in. Kane, Gordon, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Then it's Stewart, Kenseth, Biffle, Jeff Burton, and Jimmy Johnson, the top 10. Kane leads them down pit road. And it'll be a busy place. Marty Snyder.
Yeah, Bill, Jimmy Johnson's had about a 10th place car for most of the afternoon. He is tight in the center of the corner, meaning he lacks front grip. They're going to make a wedge adjustment to fix that. Loose off the corner. Back in wants to kick around. A track bar adjustment down on that to fix that problem. Dave?
7th place runner Matt Kenseth comes in, bottom of your screen. 4-tire change for him. Still loose, but I think we should leave it, says Matt. And Robbie Reiser agrees. The track is going to be coming around the next 20 minutes, Matt.
Of your screen, Jeff Gordon, 24 car, no changes. They feel like at this point of the race, the sun is going to play game, so no adjustments. Gordon says the car was good. Davey.
4 tires and a track bar adjustment for Casey Kane. Had to swing wide around Denny Hamlin's car to get off of pit road, and it looks like he's going to hold the lead on this pit stop. Nice job by the Dodge boys.
Well, we'll check it out. We'll check the running order and go back to green flag racing when we come back to Fontana. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
Introducing Nextel's new multi-dimensional walkie-talkie phone.
10, 3, 2, 1. Hit the sign. Get the debris off the grill. Go, 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 go. Half lane up, half lane up. Watch your speed, watch your speed. 47. $13.59, guys. Good stop. Chance 205 right now. All right, 10-4.
Right? Bestwick was all over it. Casey Kane won the race off of pit road, then Kyle Busch, then Jeff Gordon in third, then Denny Hamlin, Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, Tony Stewart, and I can tell you Harvick, Boyer, and Jeff Burton.
That's
right
a pretty
there
good race.
For 10.
Looked like a Talladega finish there.
Sure did. So that was the race off of pit road. I think we can probably get an update on the 6 car of Mark Martin from Snyder.
Yeah, Bill, they came in to fix the right front fender twice. Mark said he made contact with someone on the racetrack, and Mark said, you know, listen, guys, we need to fix this correctly. As you see, currently he is out of the chase for the championship, 11th in the point standings. But remember this, they drove from 38th to the front in less time than they need right now to get back to the front. They will restart, I believe, in the 28th position. They said that right front fender is as good as new.
He is in 28th, still working caution and cleanup here at the California Speedway in Fontana. They work on Ryan Newman's car, and everybody's looking at Casey Kane's car because it's in the lead.
Look at this! Amazing! Oh my! This spot.
Coming to the green. Left inside to give plenty of room. Sound better? It's pretty much the same. Change the radio. So what else? I'll change here in a little bit.
Sleeplessness. Dry mouth. Anxiety. All may be experienced as you take on the Built Ford Tough Race to the Dream. Last year, 9 made the cut. Now we need 9 more to compete in the dirt and on the track at Homestead Miami Speedway. Meet drivers. Drop the green flag. Be a winner. Think you're tough? Prove it at racetothedream.com.
We convince a kid to stay.
The sun getting close to setting. The pace car to pit road. Casey Kane, the race leader, brings the field to the green flag for the restart. 135 to go. Cars on the lead lap. They all pitted under that caution. You see the colors on the ticker at the top of the screen indicating the guys in the chase, the guys on the bubble, and the guys that have been locked out. And right now it's every man for himself. Yeah. Into a blinding sun.
Kyle Busch right underneath the 9 car of Casey Kane, looking for an opportunity.
More on Kyle from Allen.
Yeah, Bill, just talked to Scucci Fallon Gustafson during this caution after the pit stop. He said the first 20 laps of a run, they're pretty good. The last 20 runs or so, the first 15 laps or so of a run, they're pretty good. The last 15, they're pretty good. It's that middle 20 or 25 or so that they have to get better to run with the 9, Casey Kane, and the 24 of Jeff Gordon. That's what they're working on with this 5 car.
Bobby Labonte in that 43 is the first car 1 lap down. He's right behind Jeff Gordon. Wants to hold that position so we can get the lucky dog if the caution comes out. Back on the lead lap. You know, we can watch these guys, but we saw Vickers with the tire go and all the damage on his car. And Dave Burns was snooping around down there on pit road. And Dave, you got an update on Mark as we watch the battle for the lead here, the 6 and the 25?
Yeah, Bill, just what happened there. We just happened to be down in the neck of the woods of the 25 car, and the team reported to us that it had been the 6 car that got into them. That's what caused their tire to go down and brought out the caution.
Matt, what are you working on?
Well, the 25, Bill, still sitting on pit road. They're trying to piece together that left front. Not a lot of conversation at this point on the team radio. Really disappointed over having such a great qualifying effort and seeing it end like this.
This is for the lead, Kyle Busch. 3rd time he has led tonight.
Just didn't have enough to drift up that racetrack to clear the 9 car.
Falls in to get the draft down the backstretch. And they fan out in the corners here at Michigan. So Vickers did have contact on the racetrack, and that's what led to the tire problem.
I figured something had to happen like that for the left rear to, or the left front to go on that car. Something must have cut it. Normally contact will do that.
Allen.
Well, you think that a guy racing to get into the championship with only 2 races to go, a guy that's tied for the most races won this season but still struggling to make that cut, would feel a lot of pressure coming into this race. But when I spoke to Casey Kane on Friday, he told me he really didn't feel the pressure yet. He said, I think it's because I spent a fun week. He went up to Washington and had a fundraising sprint car race at a track he used to race at. He held a charity event over here in Irwindale, California with some drift cars. He said, I think because I've been doing all these fun things this week, I haven't thought about the championship. I haven't let the pressure get to me.
And I think another thing is, go ahead.
Going back to what you said.
It's
what they say
and what they
really say. Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time believing that these guys aren't thinking about the championship. I think they get to go do these cool things, and it takes their mind off it for a little bit. But he was thinking about it last night in that motorhome or that motel room, trust me.
And when they all woke up this morning, that's the first thing that was on their minds.
Exactly.
Today can be the day I can get it all behind us and lock in. On board with Gordon. Another thing about Kane is, I mean, they know they've got good equipment, a solid driver. They won 4 of the first 15 races. They're just trying to recapture some of that. They've had some terrible luck. Watkins Glen, Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think they're. almost in a better situation as far as frame of mind goes, knowing that, you know what, we just got to go out here and win races, or we just got to do what we do best.
What we were doing.
Yeah, right, exactly. And if we get some luck, we'll be in. And you know, it's a lot easier, I think, doing it that way than being in a situation with Mark Martin or Jeff Burton where you're looking over your shoulder every lap. You know, worrying about what's going to happen next and where Casey Kane's running.
That sun's more of an annoyance now than just glaring right into your eyes.
Yeah, it's going to be out of these guys. There won't be a problem here in another 5 or 10 minutes. And these guys will be happy when it's gone.
Race car drivers happy?
Well, happier.
Okay. Kane gets the position, goes back to the lead.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kyle Busch is just fun to watch around this racetrack. He's got that thing hanging out all the time.
Jeff Gordon's got a good look at it. Kyle coming back for the lead. Kyle Busch in the 5, Casey Kane in the 9, two of the bright young stars of NASCAR. Kyle Busch is only 21. Casey Kane's only 26. That guy behind him, man, he's an old veteran.
Jeff's got a good run right now in the 5 car. I don't know if he's going to pull out and try to make the pass here.
Teammates right there in the 24 and the 5.
He's going to get the 5 loose. It's not going to be tough.
Oh!
See, I was going to say, it's not going to be tough to get the 5 loose. He's been watching this, and he sees the 5's loose already. So he figures, I'm just going to go down in the corner, and I'm going to stay right on his bumper and get him real loose. That's what he did.
And they are teammates, right?
Does not matter.
It doesn't? You would do that to me?
We're booth partners. I'd do it to you in a minute.
Matt.
Bill, there's a lot on the line for this 24 team, obviously trying to lock themselves in. And this is the stretch of the race where it's more of an experimental period because the sun is setting. Not exactly sure how drastic this racetrack will change from sunset to when it gets to complete darkness. Right now, though, the best his car has been is at this point right now. He runs second, trying to chase down the 9, Alan.
Kyle Busch back to third. Nothing on his radio about getting loosened up by Jeff Gordon or sliding back. But one of the things that Kyle has talked about in the last couple of weeks is the biggest lesson he's learned in the last 12 months since picking up that first win. Being patient, not putting his car in positions during a race where it might be compromised and he might crash and lose points. Last year they had 12 finishes in the 30s or 40s, including crashes and mechanical problems. This year only 4. It was something they really wanted to reduce going into the year to have a shot at the title.
Kyle won here last September, was 10th here in February. He's got another young star right on his bumper. Denny Hamlin in that 11 car, 2-time winner this year. Up front, Casey Kane, but Jeff Gordon has got him right in his sights. The sun is setting, the excitement is rising at Fontana on NBC.
Oh man, I don't know what's going on here. This thing's going to shit on us. Real tight. It isn't tight. I don't know what it is. Just going to shit. It's all over the place. So try to cool it down and see what happens. Hit your marks, run your lap.
Forget about that 9 if you want, but you're still over 10th faster than the guys behind you. I mean, you're doing great.
Lap 111, it took a huge swing at the handling of this car. Remember, we told you the car was just way too tight, went up significantly on the track bar and reversed some changes they made earlier to try to free up the car.
Spent some time talking with Kevin Harvick's crew chief Todd Berrier earlier today. Asked him if they had a good race car. Todd said, "We'll know when the sun goes down." We're almost to that point. Marty?
Dave, Jimmy Johnson says things are different this year for the 48 team. He said we're smarter, more mature, and more educated about what we need to do to approach the chase correctly. And part of that key is keeping momentum for the next 2 weeks.
I don't think we've been able to do it so far, so our strategy hasn't changed. The last 3 or 4 years, we lost a little steam through here, and this year we've been really strong and putting up good performances week after week. So, you know, if we can go into the chase with the points lead, it's going to be great. But if we don't, I still know that we're a better team right now than we've ever been. We're stronger, and we're going to be more of a threat this year for the championship than we've ever been.
So what have they learned today that will help them in the chase? Well, they've learned this setup they would love to use at Kansas and Homestead. So far, mixed reviews. Not that great, not so bad. Jimmy's been about a 10th place car all afternoon. Alan?
Jeff Burton, one of the championship would-be chasers, running in the 11th place in this race. Last traffic on his radio, his car way too slow in the center of the turns. One dynamic that's going on in this race right now is that the 11th place driver in points is leading and gaining ground on all these guys like Burton that are running behind him. Matt?
In the countdown to green, you heard Carl Edwards talk about the huge hole that he finds himself in looking outside of the championship chase. Knew he has to just go out, run his own race, and try to rack up some W's. The car was tight early, but now, Alan, it is just way too loose, especially on exit.
And checking on the progress of Greg Biffle's race, who started in 21st position. He's managed to move his way up to 15th. Biffle been so strong at this racetrack, they thought they had a good shot at a top finish here. Still got some work to do on this car to get it up with the leaders. Marty?
Well, Alan, the good news is that they fixed the right front fender on Mark Martin's race car. He restarted 28th. Currently, he's up to 21st. The bad news is he has a long way to go to get to the front, and the car does not seem to be as good as it was early in the race. You saw that little wiggle coming off turn 2, a little sideways as well. Mark said the car, as you can see, extremely hard to handle. No rear grip.
Thanks, Marty. Right now, in the championship standings, Casey Kane and Mark Martin are in a deadlock with 3,149 points. So they'd both get into the chase under the, if there was a tie, you're in. But right now, Kane and Martin tied for the 10th spot with the exact amount of points. But 115 laps to go. We'll see what happens.
Earnhardt Jr. takes over the 3rd spot from Denny Hamlin. He is working the high line. I don't think there's too many guys that have been running higher than Junior has been. So he's found a little bit of grip up there. It's working for him.
And more grip as we go along tonight, right? See what happens. Casey Kane, a big win here last night. A win tonight would be much bigger and could rocket him into the chase for the next Hell Cup championship.
Clear by 6.
A 49 and a 39 in front of you. You just run a 29. 2 tenths fast. I'll stay on my line. No good. 10-4. Have a good day.
What happens? Got the opening in the front of the car. That's obviously how it cools the car down. The air's coming through. What happens is when they start picking up, when you got tape on there, and when you're taped up like this, you're getting downforce on the front. But when garbage covers up the little opening that you have to cool the car, it overheats. And that's a problem that Kasey Kahne may have if that doesn't fly up. Now, last night in the Busch race, you see how much trash he had on the grill, and they got it off during a pit stop, but the water was up to 250 degrees. You can't run these cars 250 degrees very long before the engine will blow out or start spitting water out. So I don't know what his temperature is. That's not a lot of trash.
But you don't want any more.
You don't want any more. And you can get that off. If you get behind a guy and you go back and forth, if you get on this bumper and you turn left and right, the air off that car sometimes will clean that paper off. It'll blow that paper off. So I don't even know if he knows it's there or not. If they're watching TV, they'll tell him and he'll get it off.
Still running well. 2.2 seconds in front of Gordon. Update on Jeff from Matt.
Bill, the difference between first and second, like you mentioned, is leveled off to be about a 2-second difference. Gordon was battling the sun in his eyes earlier. Now he's battling an ever-changing racetrack.
It isn't tight. I don't know what it is. Just all over the place. I'm trying to cool it down and see what happens. Something about this place when it starts to cool down, boy, it changes in a big way. 3 and 4 is not the same turn as it was.
And the latest thing that Gordon told his team, besides being tight in the center, now the car is extremely loose on exit, but he is running lap times about a 1/10 of a second faster than leader Kasey Kahne.
And this is what the guys in the garage were talking about. They were craving some kind of an evening practice session here, so you at least have some idea what your car was going to do.
Well, they know now.
Yeah.
They're getting a feel of it anyway.
Kasey Kahne out front. From Enumclaw, Washington. 4 wins this season. Chase.
Tony Jr. at 7:10 p.m. The entire racetrack is in the shade.
10-4, thank you for that.
clear. Left side, June. Clear low.
Time for our Aflac trivia question. Who are the only rookie contenders to win a California Nextel Cup race? Come on, Wally.
Rookie contenders to win a California Nextel Cup race ever. Kyle Busch.
Right.
And Jimmy Johnson. I don't know.
Very good.
I didn't even have the answer for that.
How about that?
Like I normally have at a time.
Very good. You didn't get the email, huh?
Not that one.
Our Aflac trivia question. And BP, we look forward to seeing you next week up there in Richmond. And you can cue the duck for us. Casey Kane just sailing along, 100 laps to go. Still has that debris on his grill. Doesn't seem to be an issue yet.
Lost grip somewhere.
Sounded like Gordon talking about grip. And Matt's got an update on Earnhardt.
Bill, while the 2014 battles grip, the A-team on their way to the front. Junior has only one top 5 finish here. Not one of his better racetracks, but he said moments ago on the radio, let him know that I'm coming. Somehow, some way, I will be up there because I found my line, and we are now really good.
Yeah, he's found the line that we talked about earlier. He's on the high line. I haven't seen anybody run as high as he has. He's almost running out of racetrack. He keeps moving that line a little bit every lap, about an inch or two. He's about running out. Matty?
Right there on exit, Wally. Now, he said earlier when the sun was still out that he had to wait until the sun went down because he couldn't see quite as well exactly on his exit of where he would like to be. He didn't want to tag the wall and cause himself some major issues, but now that the sun is setting, vision is excellent, and he is motoring toward the front.
It's always better to be able to see when you drive a race car. It helps a lot. Whoa, look at that.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. got the win at Richmond. Used the fresher tires to get there and beat Kevin Harvick, getting back to victory lane. Certainly had the disappointing season a year ago, capped by losing an engine here. How's he look?
Good.
Okay.
going the right direction. Fastest car on the track right now, too. He's 0.2 of a second faster than Casey Kane the last couple laps. They should be getting pretty close to pit road.
What do you think? About 10 laps or so. At the most. Mark Martin, he's 18th now. Got an update, Marty?
Well, speaking of finally going the right direction, this is the time of the day Mark Martin has been waiting for. They've been battling a race car that has no rear grip, extremely loose. Now the racetrack itself finally getting some grip in it, coming to Mark Martin. In the last few laps, they've gone from 21st to 18th, but they still have their hands full. And look at that, in the top 10 of the championship standings as well.
Yeah, that's going to move a lot in the last 97 laps here. And the story from pit road is we can expect our leader Casey Kane on lap 158, and we're working 154, but that's all out the window. Debris for caution on the racetrack. And this will put just about everybody in a window where if it did stay green, they'd only have to pit one more time after this set of stops. So we'll see how that works out. So if you're going to get your car right, you need to get it right on this round of pit stops. Casey Kane came in here 11th in the championship standings, 90 points out of the final playoff spot. Right now, he is back at 11th, 6 points. Jeff Green is the lucky dog under this caution. He will come around to be the 26th car on the lead lap. So it's Kane, Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Busch. Matt Kenseth the 6th, then Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, and Carl Edwards. And this is when the driver really has to make sure he communicates with the crew chief and knows exactly what he wants for that race car.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and you can't second guess yourself here, you know, and that's where these crew chiefs really are. That's where they do their magic, because they know what this track is doing. They know where the car has been. They know the adjustments they've made. And like you said, Bill, this is going to be a very important, you know, we talked earlier about there's going to be some guys in the front that go to the back and vice versa when the cool track's down. And we've already started seeing that. So, yeah, this is a real important pit stop. Don't over adjust. That's the biggest thing you don't want to do, is make too big of an adjustment here.
Pit road will be open this time. You've had enough time to at least get the feel for what the track's going to do.
Right, and you know that it's gonna cool down a little bit more, but nothing like it has in the last half hour. It's really, you know, the track has really cooled down in the last half hour, 45 minutes.
There you see Kane, the race leader. He'll bring the field to pit road. Guys will have to do their best stops right now. Spot in the championship chase could be on the line. The field dashes onto pit road. We go to Marty.
Bill, for championship leader Jimmy Johnson, exactly what you guys talked about. They wanted to make a big adjustment. They decided, let's not make it over just the car. He wants more of what they've done before, but not double of what they've done before. Tight on the throttle, up half around on the track bar. Dave?
17 bunch walking, the tightrope of adjustments. Car is loose, want it to be a little bit looser because they think the track will tighten. Air pressure, Matt.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car has come to life. No changes on the previous pit stop. You see him in the center of your screen. No change this time, just a little tight on exit, AB.
A paper fell off the grill as Casey Kane came to a stop in his pit. Going to be a 4-tire change, a track bar adjustment. Wanted him to make sure he stopped back in his box so that he could swing around the 11th. There's a race off pit road.
That's going to be one the camera's going to have to tell us. See Jeff Burton shooting out of his pit stall.
I want to give that one a 24.
And you would be correct. So Jeff Gordon picks up the lead on pit road. The pit guy is getting it done at California.
Nygaard got caught too fast entering. To the 9 car. Car too fast entering. Wondering, man. I tell you what, I've been running 200 over, and he's pulling away.
Go anymore then. Do me a favor, that 5, he looks like he's a little loose on those new tires, so just do your best around him there, bud. Just be smarter than the rest of them.
Pass the message along that I'm racing him the same way he races everybody else out here, and he better, that was a lesson is what that was, and needs to learn from it.
I'm with you. I'm with you. You're doing great, buddy. We're going to get this thing tuned up, man. There's 93 to go right now. At least one more pit stop. You're doing a great job.
4.
I don't feel like I got a glove on when you're doing that kind of stuff.
Just wanted to, I'd like to know why you're quicker there. Not so much that I'm better than the guys around me. Just be where am I the quickest, and I'll try one end at a time for you, and then we'll decide what we need to be doing.
All right, 10-4.
Do a better job of telling you, Tony Jr. That time there, he got to the top of 3 and 4 way before he got to the top of 1 and 2. And 2 is just a fucking wash. I mean, you go down in there on the bottom and you put, but under braking, you're trying to keep spinning out. Once you get it down to the bottom and stopped, it pushes like hell off the corner on the bottom. And then when you go in there on the top, you just go in just hard enough to not hit the fence. And then once you get to the center, you just give it enough gas to where it'll go, but it's pushing the whole time. So you're trying to give it enough gas and not make it push.
You are watching the Sony HD 500 from the California Speedway on NASCAR In-Car. Only available on digital cable.
Entering on the 9. Speed is clocked electronically by NASCAR.
Okay, well, unless he sped after the 9 pulled or the 8 pulled in, I don't understand why the 8 didn't get called either, because they were glued to each other going all the way down the pit. So AB, I don't understand that one.
As you might guess, neither does the driver behind the wheel. He talked about the fact that he set his pit road speed at 4,700 RPM before the race following the pace car, and he kept it right on that number all the way down pit road. He commented on the fact that Dale Jr. was right behind him for most of the way. His team director, Kenny Francis, came back and said NASCAR said it was a section in the middle of pit road where it got you. They chose to come in, top off the fuel. They added tape to the front of the grille to try and give them some extra downforce because they're going to be back in traffic now instead of out in that clean air. But to say Casey Kane was disbelieving at that penalty would be a little bit of an understatement.
Well, that makes 2 of us.
Jeff Gordon is the race leader. The 2-car Kurt Busch is on the tail end of the lead lap. And we'll let the scoring cycle through. And you have to go back to the 24th position to find Casey Kane. Kurt Busch had just pitted under the green before the caution came out. That's why he's at the tail end of the lead lap. Kevin Harvick in the 29 car. That's a mess back there. Sterling Marlin's there. Dave Blaney.
Tony Stewart's in the middle of that.
$90 laps to go here. I just want to show you how that penalty affects the 9 situation in the championship chase. See Mark Martin in the 10th spot. Casey Kane now 89 points out. Started the night 90 out. This would be for the lead. Boy, the fans on their feet here now.
Going 3 wide, down into 1. Kyle Busch going for the lead as well. And so far, it looks like he's going to come out of turn 2 with it.
See if they all come out of turn 2.
They had a really good draft going down the straightaway, and he pulled out. He had a good run on those guys, and he pulled it off.
And Kenseth working all over the back of the 8. 43 of Bobby Labonte's the first car lap down. Looking back from Earnhardt at Matt Kenseth. Matt on Gordon.
Bill not only is a 3-time California winner, chasing the race win, he and his teammates are also trying to lock themselves in for the $6+ million payday at the end of the season. But this was moments ago on the Gordon radio concerning his teammate Kyle Busch in the 5.
Do me a favor, that 5, he looks like he's a little loose on those new tires, so just do your best around him there, bud. Just be smarter than the rest.
Pass the message along that I'm racing him the same way he races everybody else out here, and he better, that was a lesson is what that was. He needs to learn from it.
And Gordon's car was loose right before that last pit stop. Steve Letarte made a small air pressure adjustment to try to help Gordon on exit. He said it was just too free when he tried to get back in the gas.
Well, we saw Gordon get Kyle loose earlier in the race.
Yeah. Now, it's the best time to try to pass somebody who's on a restart, really, because everybody's jammed up and they go flying down there. And I mean, really, that's your best opportunity to try to pass a guy before things get strung out. See, Kenseth goes down to the bottom of the racetrack. Just makes the pass on Earnhardt.
And the upper left, that's Casey Kane in the 9 car. He's already worked his way up to 16th. Allen?
Hey, Bill, remember last night's NASCAR Busch Series race here at California Speedway? Casey Kane had to come back in. He topped off his fuel, went to the back of the pack, wound up winning the thing on fuel mileage. Remember I talked about earlier in the race if someone was going to roll the dice on this thing and try and take it on fuel mileage? That might not have been the case when they were running up front. Well, now it is when they're back in traffic. They came in, topped off the fuel on the 1-to-go lap. So we'll see if this 9 car ends up making a fuel economy run out of this thing between now and the checkered flag.
Thanks, Alan. Well, here are these teammates. Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch. And that would be Kyle's brother in that 2 car. So Gordon back to the front. This is good, but you normally don't see this between 2 teammates, especially when they're both trying to make the chase.
You know, it didn't sound like they were real happy. One was real happy with the other one either, so they're racing each other pretty hard right now.
And Kyle Busch will race anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to him, whether it's Jeff Gordon or anybody. He doesn't care. He's out there trying to win the race. I mean, the car is just sliding all over the racetrack. I don't know how he can hang on to it that long.
Gordon got around Kurt Busch. That makes him the first car off the lead lap. Kurt goes high, Kyle goes low. More from Allen.
Yeah, Kyle Busch just on his radio a second ago, Bill, talking about all 4 tires on his car sliding, needing a little more grip and a little more help on that car. You know, it's funny to see these 2 guys racing with such intensity because Kyle has given Jeff Gordon as well as Jimmy Johnson, one of his other teammates, a lot of credit for helping him mature as a Nextel Cup race driver over the course of the last 12 months. I guess that goes to show you just how intense the competition really is.
And speaking of Jimmy Johnson,
these guys they're having a battle.
Johnson in the 48, Kevin Harvick right behind him, Carl Edwards in the 99, and Tony Stewart getting a look at it. Bobby Labonte participating.
I don't know if he really wants to be participating, but
How about Johnson, Marty?
It's fun watching these guys race like this, isn't it, Bill?
Yeah.
And Jimmy knows this is a setup they want to use in the chase, so he is giving extremely detailed information to Chad Canals about everything this race car is doing, and it certainly has come to life since the sun's gone down. Dave?
Harvick running behind him in the 29 car. Crew Chief Todd Barrier showed me his notes here from last year, page after page on his Excel spreadsheet. And the last note was, I quit. They finished 14th, which means they didn't quit, but it was a long process to get this car halfway competitive last year.
No surprise, Dave, that Tony Stewart in the 20 car hugging the bottom, loves to run the bottom while other guys like the middle or top. Stewart diving on the inside of the 29. Now they went back up on the track bar the last stop, pulled a spring rubber out of the left rear, and made some big air pressure adjustments. The car just too tight, especially trying to roll through the center of the corner, knowing they're probably going to have one more shot at it. They took a big swing at it the last time just to see if that would really ignite this race car and find the balance that Stewart's looking for.
And there's Casey Kane in the 9 car. He's worked his way up to 14th. Around Jeff Burton. On board with Burton. And Jeff Burton has slipped to 9th in the championship standings. So that's not only a pass on the track, but those are big points for Kane. Jeff Gordon is the race leader by about a second over Kyle Busch. And that's Matt Kenseth, Dale.
Clear. Out, caution's out. Chip car just about took us out. Okay. We lost me getting into 3. Not bad. I still needed to turn, but being the track through the center, I've got a little bit of a freeness, a corner entry maybe just before the center, and then as I start back to the gas, the car starts to snug up, and then starts snapping a little loose at corner exit.
For a flat tire, that's big because that affects his chances, even as slim as they were, making the chase. Here's Gilliland going around.
Looks like he was underneath Waltrip, and he was just trying, you know, they were coming off the corner, and he was trying to turn the car down so he wouldn't drift up into Waltrip.
And that brought out the caution. Pit road is closed. Jeff Gordon is the race leader, then Kyle Busch, Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, and Denny Hamlin. We'll sneak in a break, come back, see who comes to pit road with 77 laps.
Entry 2. Overly concerned with the entry.
Rears a little bit. Four tires for sure. Yes. No. Bring your 4 tires, guys. Jeff, pit.
10-4, I'm coming. $400, 4,400.
Maybe you should get your own.
Championship leader Jimmy Johnson hits pit road running 7th. He said the car's not bad, still needs to turn better in the middle of the corner, half round of wedge in the right rear. Dave?
Matt Kenseth gives up 4th place for 4 fresh tires, air out of both left side tires to keep the car turning. Matt?
And at the top of your screen, the 24, Jeff Gordon, says the car cannot carry the speed that he needs to in the center, especially can't get in the gas up off. Steve Letarte shuffling the air pressure in the rear as the 8 of Junior already away.
Kyle Busch in the center of the screen, going to get a 4-tire change, but I suspect if you watch that picture on the right, you're going to see some 2-tire stops and some quick pit stops, shuffle the track position a little bit here.
Yeah, exactly right, Alan. Different strategies because we hadn't had that many green flag laps. So this is another situation where some of the guys at the back are going to restart at the front because of pit strategy. That's how Casey Kane won the Busch race last night.
Jeff Carr, Jackman for the number 1. Getting it done.
Where are we? Guys are behind us.
There's only 4 ahead of us. In front of us, and the 10.
Come back in. When you can. Unless you missed it already, but come back in.
What happened?
Sure, I don't have enough on it to risk it, but... Come back in. Top the fuel off. Tighten up the left front.
Jack it up and then make sure it's tight.
We have all kinds of time. Jack it up. Make sure you got 5 tight on that left front. What's your water temp, Ben, Jeff?
210, 215.
Add a little Johnny or leave it there? Right there. The power's going to help. We're going to be in traffic. All right, you got some coming. All right, go ahead. Got the 0 outside. There you go. You're all clear. We know how this thing lasts, buddy. A lot of laps to go still. A lot of laps to go.
Let's, just refocus and, let's not beat ourselves here.
10-4. You got to have 75 to go. Sure, there'll be another yellow. Everybody's going to make another pit stop either way.
Let me know where I line up here before we get started, okay, please. Forehead, missing lug nut left front, Tony Jr.
All right, 10-4.
He runs second. 2 tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He scored as the race leader. Scott Riggs currently runs 4th, also 2 tires. And there's our Craftsman pit summary. Obviously, Kane moving forward. Kyle Busch drops the spot, and Earnhardt Jr. with a 2-tire stop. Still under caution here at the California Speedway. Jeff Gordon at the back of the pack after having a fast car all night. Can he get back to the front? We'll see.
Carl, do your flip.
We'll watch our temperatures through this run, and we might try to sneak a little bit of tape on it for the last run. Cars on their way. There'll be 72 to go when you take the green, man. At least another pit stop. Just get all you can.
To the green this time.
Injection. The new Grizzly 700 FI. Ain't nothing tougher.
Now get a free 2-year warranty plus a $400 worn winch for just $69.95.
Just a nice cool evening here in Fontana, California. It's cooled off to 93 degrees. Track temperature, though, from 128 down to 95.
That's a big jump. That's a lot.
Kurt Busch was the lucky dog. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the race leader. 72. Jeff Gordon restarts 25th after loose lug nuts on his pit stop and a second trip down pit road.
Got quite a few guys on that bottom lane that are a lap or more down. See Biffle down on the bottom right there, trying to get on the lead lap.
Biffle, the first car scored off the lead lap. There are 26 cars on the lead lap. Casey Kane looking at that high groove that Earnhardt's been using. An update on the 9 from Allen.
And looking to get the lead back here, Bill. Remember, Casey Kane shuffled all the way back to 24th place by the too fast entering pit road speeding penalty on the lap for 155 pit stop. I talked to his team director, Kenny Francis, about the right side tire only call on this pit stop. He said, we debated 2 or 4. When we saw the 8 car just get 2, that made our decision for us. They've got their track position back. Now they want the lead.
Both those cars just 2 tires on their pit stop.
Man, he had a run getting off of turn 2, and right now he's got the lead. He's got the 5-car push behind him. Casey Kane needs to slide up the racetrack a little bit to hold that spot. He's got it. Junior loses 2 spots in that lap.
Kane doing a little drifting up the track there.
Lots of it.
Kyle Busch looking low. Can't quite get there.
Oh, Casey Kane a little sideways there off of 2. Wasn't it 89 earlier? He went from 89 points out of 10th to 9 points out of 10.
Yeah. Helped by that 2-tire stop, AB.
Bill, it just goes to show you the difficulty in trying to figure out these races. Here were guys on top of the world earlier, down in the dumps in the middle, back on top, and we've still got, what, 70 laps to go? Who knows how this thing's going to turn out in another hour or so.
One guy wondering that same thing drives that 24 car, Alan. And where is he? There he is, behind that mess.
22nd spot, but a lot of traffic in front of him. And he was, you know, he was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Now he's a second slower than the lap times Casey Kane's running.
This is for the lead. Kyle Busch.
Boy, Biffle is doing everything he can to try to get on that lead lap.
Easy now, bud.
And he is on the lead lap right now.
Had to pit with a tire problem under green. That's how Greg fell off of the lead lap. He's 27th, the first car one lap down.
It's on the lead lap now.
Right, when they get back to the scoring loop, he will be back on the lead lap in front of the race leaders. The 5 and the 9 racing for the lead. And you could see this for years to come in Nextel Cup racing. Now Biffle officially is the 27th car on the lead lap. And he's out front.
Yeah.
So he's got clean air and a good car.
And these guys are racing each other.
Right.
So that's going to help him. He's hoping they'll continue to do that. But he's got a long way to come around. I mean, obviously, he's looking for a yellow.
Again, the ticker at the top of the screen. Green cars are in the chase. Yellow are on the bubble. Red are locked out. When the checkered flag falls at Richmond next Saturday night, we'll know the drivers that will be eligible for the 2006 Nextel Cup Championship. Looking for Jeff Gordon. There he is, right next to Mark Martin. Trying to squeeze it down low. Mark drifting up in front of Casey Mears. Matt.
Bill back on lap 178. He restarted in 25th, quickly making his way back to the front. Air pressure adjusted by Letarte and company, trying to tighten up the race car on exit. He was close to working by the 6, so Martin just couldn't quite do it. Marty?
Mark Martin and company are a little surprised the racetrack has not gotten tighter for them. They restarted in the 21st position. Currently, they're running 18th. The racetrack still too loose for Mark. They made several changes on the last stop, trying to give him a little more rear grip in that 6 car.
Anyway, I think we saw that last night through the Busch race. Guys were expecting the track to get tighter, and it didn't for a lot of those guys. Their cars started out loose, and they stayed loose.
Boy, all night they were loose.
Yeah.
This is for 4th. Earnhardt Jr. is 4th. Kenseth is 5th. Denny Hamlin in that 11 car. 3rd in line is 6th. And right in front of them, Scott Riggs, who in that 10 car with a 2-tire stop. There's Riggs. 4th last week, Dave, in a pit road gamble that's paying off so far for the 10.
When they raced earlier this season at Michigan, sort of a sister track to this, they were working on an experiment on the body to help the 9 team. It didn't work, so they didn't use it on the 9. And when they came here, they brought a car they really, really liked as far as the shape of the body, what they thought it would do in the clean air. It's run great tonight. And as you mentioned, a 2-tire stop to give him even more track position on the last stop.
Got him out of traffic, was 19th when the caution came out. Now Scott Riggs runs 3rd behind Kyle Busch and Casey Kane. That 9 car has been good all night. Right now it's good after a 2-tire stop. He leads by 1.2.
south. Debris 1 and 2, debris 1 and 2.
Ground load. Engine off, bud.
Coverage Saturday night begins at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with the Bank of America countdown to green. The caution out here at California in the Sony HD 500. Debris on the racetrack. Bobby Labonte in the 43 car will be the lucky dog. He will come around to be the 27th car on the lead lap. And let's see, Mark Martin is 17th. Jeff Gordon has worked his way to 19th. Here's another look at the championship standings as they run right now. You can see
Martin's not in by many. He's going to start that pylon racing here pretty soon.
And pylon racing again is?
He's going to be coming down this, because you can see that pylon from off of 4. You can really see it when you're driving. You can come down the straightaway and you can kind of see where you're running, and you can also see where your competition's running. So you're going to start looking and saying, well, okay, where's Casey King? Well, he doesn't have to look far, does he?
If you start at the top, you don't. That breaks your heart right there when you see that, unless you're a Kane fan. Casey Kane, Kyle Busch, Scott Riggs, Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth. Most of these guys are going to be outside their fuel window.
I think I'd still be coming in.
I would too.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to put tires on, but
this is almost exactly the same situation as last night when Casey Kane came down pit road and then came in and topped off before they went back to green, and that got him to the finish and the checkered flag. He won the race last night. Casey Kane, the race leader now, brings the field down pit road. Marty Snyder.
Doing it from here, though, Bill, would be a little bit more of a gamble than it was last night. A little bit further to go for these guys. Jimmy Johnson described this car as edgier in turn 3. They're going to undo the last adjustment they did and go up one round on the track bar, Dave.
Scott Riggs puts it in the hands of his crew now. 4 tires, this time like everyone else. A little bit tight in the center, slight air pressure adjustment. Matt.
Right before the caution, Tony Stewart took the 7th position away from Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now the recent changes they made to the 20, not long enough to know if it's really helped. They're going to make a slight track bar adjustment. They still haven't got the tightness out of the center, Alan.
Going to be a 4-tire change for Casey Kane. Dropped his pit road speed reading by 100 RPM on this set to make sure they stayed safe on NASCAR. Going to be some guys get off pit road ahead of him. Looks like we've had some more 2-tire stops, huh?
I would think so. Mark Martin appears to be the first car off of pit road.
It's like a couple of close calls there, too.
Sure were.
That was that Carl Edwards I saw that was leaving? He had to stop. Was that his teammate, probably, I think, that came in. There you go. Is that Elliott?
Yep.
Sadler?
Yes.
19 car?
Yeah. Carl Edwards. There goes Casey and Riggs, Kenseth, and some of their friends. Dale Earnhardt Jr. loses a few spots. The running order when we come back to California.
Dear Darrell!
Where you at now?
The 20th right now. A ton of guys did too. So I think a lot of them are going to be falling back to you there, bud. We're in position now. We got 4 on them. We can do 2 the next time if we have to.
One to go when you get back around here. Make sure the belt's getting tight there.
Those guys are tough, I guess, because they think that they can't make it all the way from here, but we can make it with one more stop, right?
Oh, I mean, we're only about 5 short. They might be able to make it, but there just ain't no way we're going to make it. That's all right. There's going to be another yellow. There's going to be another yellow. That's all right. They moved us right up to 16. I'll take those spots. See that 8 up there in front of you? See that 5 up there in front of you? They're on 4 tires just like you. A lot of guys stick to, man. I think it's going to work out for us, buddy.
10-4.
Nice move. Let's Biffle slide in front of him. He gets our Good Hands Award, but you know what he gets for that? He loses a couple of positions coming off of pit road.
A couple spots to Mark. You see Mark there on the left, gets by. That's Elliott Sadler that gets by, but no damage to the car.
2 tires for the 99, 2 tires for the 19. So it's Mark Martin with a 2-tire stop, the race leader. Then Elliott Sadler, Carl Edwards, Joe Nemechek, and Casey Kane, the top 5. Riggs comes out 6th. Kenseth, Hamlin, Johnson, and Tony Stewart. Our Napa Field summary. All 43 cars are still running. There are 27 cars on the lead lap. Our Napa Field summary here at California. Mark Martin is the race leader. Some guys on the edge of their fuel window, 55 to go when we get the green.
Yeah, definitely some guys are going to try to make it all the way if it stays green.
Casey Mears popped off.
Marcus. Man, Marcus trying to get down on that low side. And, man, Newman was down there. I don't know what was going on, but boy, Elliott Sadler took advantage of that.
He's on his way. That might get Mark fired up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if Mark knew that 12 was down there or not, because he was trying to go to the low line, and he was almost leaning his left rear on Newman's right front fender. That could have been big.
Yes. There were a few fast cars coming in a hurry behind him, weren't there? That's Terry Labonte in the 44 car on the inside. He's 1 lap down. More on Mark Martin from Marty.
Well, let's talk about those 2 tires and why they decided to take them. Remember, they had the problem with the right front fender earlier, Bill. Got mired back in traffic. The car has not been as good as it was early in the race. Pat Tryson said, you know what? Take the 2 tires here, see what happens, see if we can get our track position back. Obviously, the car extremely loose for Mark right now, hard to hang on to. And for Elliott Sadler, they've gotten better all night long. They said 2 tires, why not? We were looking at top 20 at best earlier tonight.
Casey Kane under Mark, and that's 4 tires against 2 right there.
And it's just, you know, what we talked about earlier too, Bill, I mean, we really haven't heard much about Elliott Sadler all night. Now, he's clicking off the fastest lap. It's so important to be out front in that clean air. He was fastest that lap by a bunch.
And all those cars that are off the lead lap mix in with the lead lap cars, and that makes it that much tougher to get back to the front. So Mark's 2-tire strategy working for now, at least.
Yeah, it might be pretty good for him. Don't forget, you got Jeff Gordon back there. He's the 17th spot right now in the middle of all that traffic.
Well, earlier this race, Mark was out of the top 10 in the championship standings, was 11th. Right now, he's 5th with 52 to go. Just want to make sure we get it in that Casey Mears did come back in and top off in that 42 car. And we heard from pit road their plan is to go the distance. We're going to need a few caution flag laps to help them, though, I would think. We'll see. There's Jeff Gordon, 17th. Gordon had to make an unscheduled stop under caution for loose lug nuts. Restarted 25th. Still trying to work his way back up front. Gordon had led 42 laps tonight. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that pack of traffic there. 13th, Matt.
Bill, just like the 24, he's mired back in traffic now. Junior, remember on the previous stop, they took 2 tires. The car just did not react well to 2 tires. You see him work the outside of the car. Now on 4 tires, Junior felt like they'd gone 3 or 4 more laps. The car was really starting to come to life. It's a 31 Rockets on the bottom.
But the one thing that Junior's got going for him, Matt, is that he's running higher, or he's got that high line down, and nobody else is really running up there, where guys like Jeff Gordon are running where there's 30 other guys running.
Right.
So the one thing about Junior, he may be able to pass a lot of cars because he's one of the few guys running that really high line. Right on the bottom right there, but normally when after it gets about 15 laps, 20 laps on these tires, you'll see him up on the top.
Junior right now 10th in the championship standings. 50 to go. Elliott Sadler with a 1.1 second lead over Casey Kane. Snyder?
You guys remember earlier we were talking about how Elliott was going to try Casey Kane's setup and just see what happened. And in the beginning of the race, they didn't look that good, and Elliott was really complaining about the race car. In fact, at one point, Ray Evernham came on the radio and said, listen, let's just get a top 15 out of this thing tonight. But now with the 2-tire change, that's what makes it so great. They had nothing to lose. Take the 2 tires, get out front in that clean air. As you said, Wally, makes all the difference in the world. Alan?
And Casey Kane's team director, Kenny Francis, debating with Casey during the caution laps before the pit stop whether or not to make any changes to this car. Kenny said it was so fast, I'm afraid to touch it. Then just before the car hit pit road, they decided on a small adjustment to try and keep up with track conditions. Casey now running in the 2nd position after getting shuffled back a little bit from the other guys who got 2 tire stops a minute ago.
And he has clinched the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. So 5 bonus points for Casey Kane. And you have Evernham cars running 1st, 2nd, and 4th right now. Elliott Sadler, Casey Kane, and Scott Riggs.
Casey Kane's a little bit faster right now than Elliott Sadler. I would pretty much look at him taking the lead here in the next 5 or 6 laps easily.
Yeah, or sooner. With those 4 tires, he's pulling up on the 19 in a hurry. That'll be for the lead. Evernham cars.
Outside. Clear. Clear. Outside, June. Clear high. Clear by 2 to the 16. Side. Low, inside, inside. Go high, go high. inside. Clear low 1 lane. Clear low. Clear low. Side, June. Three wide, 3 wide. Wide, still outside. Outside. Clear high. Clear low. Side. Clear. Clear, Jim. I'm good. Let's go past me. Go ahead and throw the board. All around you.
People talking about Scott Riggs this week because of the way he raced Jeff Gordon last week in the closing laps at Bristol. He stayed behind him. He was patient up until the very last second when it was time to get around him. Then Riggs got around him. We saw those guys talking it over on pit road after the race. But a lot of people, you know, really got introduced to Scott Riggs last week, and they liked what they saw.
Yeah, Scott did a great job last week at Bristol. He had a faster car than Jeff Gordon, and I don't know if there was been many veterans that would have waited that long or not put the bumper to Gordon. But you know what, Scott did a good job, got a great finish. And those guys really have turned that team around. I mean, they obviously had a rough start this year.
Missing the Daytona 500.
Exactly. So done a good job turning that team around.
On board with Jeff Burton.
Whoa!
What happened there?
Boy, that was a saving your life there.
When your chin's in the middle, loose off.
I think so.
And he's out of breath when he said it. So,
Alan.
Yeah, Jeff Burton called in a few laps ago, Bill, and thought he might have had a flat tire. That was at lap number 208. So the crew got up on the wall and got ready. He's hanging on. I guess he's decided he doesn't have a flat, but I think he's also decided he doesn't like this car's handling very much.
and this is just a part of the races these guys have struggled lately. I mean, you know, they've been good to start, the middle, and then they get down to the finish or the last 20, 30 laps of a race, and they lose a lot of spots. They lose a lot of ground.
We talked about it at Indianapolis and at Bristol. The car just got tight. They couldn't get it out of it. Cost them a lot of spots. Dale Earnhardt Jr. More from Matt.
And Junior just made his way around the 01 and Nemechek, who had to pick it. He had a cut left front tire. Junior says the car has really come alive up top in the Richard Petty lane. Steve Beal, a spotter, cheering him on, trying to work his way back up to the front. He's got the 20 right ahead, trying to reel him in to pick up another spot.
And right behind him is that 24 car. And who was fastest last lap?
Like that 24 car was that last lap, and you know, he's gotten through the traffic, and like I said, it seems to have had some issues there earlier in the year with that, but they've got their car working right now, and he did get through traffic. He's in the 11th spot right now.
Matt, you got something on Jeff?
Well, the biggest thing, Bill, they just haven't panicked over the past month and a half when they've had bad runs. They had some great days, sure, but they have had some struggles as well. This team slowly working their way back up the front, currently in the 11th position, trying to bounce back from when they had to hit pit road for missing a couple lugs.
Jeff Gordon missed the chase a year ago, trying to race his way into it tonight. But everybody is chasing Casey Kane. Leads his teammate Elliott Sadler by 1.8. His other teammate Scott Riggs runs third. Evernham 1-2-3 at California.
Clear. Clear.
It's turning pretty good, Junior. Turning pretty good.
Forward, just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing all.
Inside. Clear. .30 laps to go. 30. Low if you need it. Clear.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. just told his crew chief, Tony Eury Jr. says this car is just turning so well in the center of the corner and is great on exit, and it shows on the stopwatch as the car turning great laps, moving his way to the front, currently 5th, AB.
Denny Hamlin looked like he had the car to beat in this race. He led most of the time from lap 30 to lap 78, but the car, since falling back into the traffic, has not been able to get back to the front, though Hamlin's still looking for what would be his 6th straight top 10 finish. Kyle Busch lost some track position on the last set of pit stops. We showed you the Carl Edwards-Greg Biffle tangle on pit road. It left Biffle's car hanging out in the pit space in front of Kyle Busch's. It blocked him in. He lost some spots getting off pit road. He was back to 11th after the stops, Matt.
Fuel's still a question for just about everybody. If you can see the 24, Jeff Gordon, one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, rebounding from their miscue on pit road. Probably one of the top 3 cars speed-wise on the racetrack right now, Marty.
Mark Martin started 38th tonight, Matt. He blasted his way up to the top 5. Then they damaged the right front fender, and he spent most of the night running about 20th. 2 tires on the last stop, though, and they're back in the top 10 and back in the chase for the championship, Matt.
2 tires on the last stop for the 99 of Carl Edwards. Got him the track position, but then slowly has begun to fade. Back in the 10th position, about 5 laps short of making it on fuel. Tight in 1 and 2, loose down in 3 and 4. Snyder?
Jimmy Johnson said earlier this week, I want to challenge the 17 team and the RCR teams in these final 2 weeks going into the chase for the championship. We need to build momentum. Currently, Johnson in 11th with a tight race car. Matt?
Tony Stewart's fallen out of the top 10, currently in the 12th spot. The entry still loose, the exit still loose, but they just cannot get a handle on the center of the corner, slowly beginning to fade.
After having a loose race car all night, Kevin Harvick's car finally went to the tight side. They made an adjustment last time, restarted 12th, but really haven't gained any. In fact, have lost a position and should be between 4 and 5 laps short on fuel. Alan?
Tell you about Greg Biffle's night. He bounced off the wall, damaged the body earlier, then cut down a tire at lap 172. He got back on the lead lap. He's picked his way back up to 14th, but he says his car's just kind of sliding around, Dave.
The 41 car, Reed Sorensen, well, he's driven past 8 cars since the restart, and he topped off with fuel. He'll be better than anybody else, Alan.
Well, Jeff Burton, after thinking he had a flat tire, back at lap number 204, still riding it out. You see he's back in 16th position. Burton fighting to hang on to a place in the top 10 in the chase for the Nextel Cup.
You're going to see a lot of gas and goes.
Yeah, we saw that in this race 1 year ago, almost the same scenario, and then it ended under green-white checkers. Yep. Casey Kane, the race leader, 25 to go at the California Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
Inside. They're low. That was 20 to go right there. 20.
Down, back down. Ready. Go, 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 go. Go hard, go hard, go hard, go hard. Watch your speed there.
California.
It's all clear behind you. Make some moves here. More moves coming up. Here.
Now, I would think he'd just come in for a couple of seconds worth of fuel in order to make it to the finish. You don't need much.
Matt Kenseth came, and Robbie Reiser called for 2 right side tires. They had a problem with the right front, took a long time, and that cost Kenseth a lot of position.
And that's something that he can't afford to do right there. You know, Matt can.
Right, because he's already locked into the chase.
Right, but Casey Kane can't, so I'd be real interested to see if these guys take on rights or just fuel. I would think just gas.
Right now, Casey Kane 11th in the championship standings, 39 points out of 10th. The top 10 drivers make the chase. Casey Kane is the race leader. Kane has led 127 of the 236 laps tonight. Won here last night. Matt Kenseth swept Bristol last weekend. Kane trying to sweep California. Kevin Harvick on pit road. Another guy trying to lock up his spot in the chase. He could do it by finishing 3rd or better tonight. Dave, what's his strategy?
Loose in the corner, tight off. They're going to put 2 right side tires on. This is considered early enough to take advantage of the new rubber, Bally. I think that's why guys are doing it like the 17 car. Because now they're running and trying to run faster laps than the guys who will start late, not take on any rubber, and run slower laps.
I see what you're saying, Dave, but I just don't. I mean, you're losing an extra 5 or 6 seconds on the racetrack by putting those tires on. But more importantly, you can make a mistake.
Right, which the 17 bunch appeared to do. Matt Kenseth is scored in 22nd. First car off the lead lap. Right behind him, Jimmy Johnson. Allen, here comes the 9.
Yeah, here's where all the pressure is on the driver now, Bill. Get down to the speed limit before that commitment line there. Don't speed down pit road despite your excitement at trying to win the race. Get smoothly to a stop in your stall. Then the pressure transfers to the crew. They're going to make a right side tire change on this 9 car and put some fuel in it. Then the pressure back to the driver. Get smoothly out of the pit stop. Get up to speed. Don't speed. And get back up onto the track as quickly as you can on those fresh right side tires. So far, so smooth for Casey Kane. He's into his pit stall, right side tires and fuel. They're telling him to go when the jack drops from the tires, not to wait on the fuel. Tire changers around the front of the car, and to Matt.
And it's a fuel-only stop for Jeff Gordon. He only needed about 3.5 to 4 seconds of fuel. No tires for the 24. AB.
Right side tires for Kyle Busch. Down and away. We'll see Denny Hamlin in this lap. Look for him to take fuel only. Matt.
And the 8 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. on his way down to his pit stall. They have tires on the wall. Possibly just fuel only, though, for the 8. The 20 is Stewart. Right side tires only. They are going to go tires on the Dale Earnhardt Jr. slid in his pit box. Fortunately, did not slide through it. The car is at an angle. Left rod, he's finally away, Marty.
Mark Martin has already left pit road. He was struggling with those tires that were on the car, so he wanted 2 fresh right side tires and the fuel to make it all the way to the end. No chassis changes.
7.3 seconds on the stop for Kane, 8.7 on the stop for Earnhardt, 4.9 seconds on the stop for Gordon. Carl Edwards makes his way onto pit road. 11 laps to go. Edwards gives up the lead to come down pit road. Matt.
Bill Carl was one of those drivers that took the 2 right side tires for the gamble on his way down to his pit box. The sign waving up and down. Let's see if he too goes for the tires. They were going back for fuel only for Edwards. Just a quick splash. He's away.
Just before we went back to green under the caution, Clint Boyer, Reed Sorensen, Casey Mears among the drivers that topped off. Hearing that Sorensen plans to stay out. We heard that Mears plans to go to the finish. There's Sorensen. Dave Burns.
They radioed to Reed, buddy, we're staying out. We're going to win this thing.
And he said, no, I need to come in for tires, right?
No, he said that putting on tires would delay his run to victory lane there, Walt.
Okay.
Wow, Reed Sorensen out front with 9 to go.
JJ, nobody around him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, yeah. I don't know. I'm just surprised at some of those tire changes there.
I'm with you. Reed Sorensen looking for his first NASCAR Nextel Cup Series win. Jimmy Ellich, his crew chief. Drives for Chip Ganassi, Felix Sabates. Dave, you down there?
Yep, this is a brand new race car for them this weekend. It's run very strong. He's running the top 15 all night. But this was a gamble that paid off on fuel. And gosh, didn't the Chip Ganassi car maybe in the Busch Series take a fuel gamble earlier this year and win?
Yeah.
It was a 42 of Casey Mears.
Yep, I was at
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicagoland. Thought you were fading out on us there, Dave, but glad you're still there.
Down the hole.
7 laps to go. Reed Sorensen is just 20 years old. From Peachtree City, Georgia. Sorensen leads. An update on Casey Kane in 4th from Allen.
Yeah, Bill, even though he may not get the win tonight, if this fuel mileage gamble pays off for some of these other drivers, Kasey Kahne and his team wanted to come in here tonight, run all the laps, get a top 5 finish if they could. They got bonus points for leading and leading the most laps tonight, and they're going to finish ahead of all of those guys they are chasing in the race to the chase. So provided things go well for these next 6 laps, exactly what they needed to accomplish tonight for Kasey Kahne in the 9 car, even if they're disappointed at not winning.
It is a great finish for them, but they're going to lose this race like they won it last night.
Right, but they may not. I think these guys, it's going to be a lot closer for these guys.
You think so?
Yeah, than it was for him last night. Right now it's Sorensen, J.J. Yaley, and Clint Boyer running the top 3. Kahne is 4th, 9.8 seconds behind Sorensen.
Yeah, but he's only a second and a half behind second place Yaley.
Right.
So he's going, you know, Kahne will probably pass Boyer and Yaley, who's the 2nd and 3rd spot. And then Reed Sorensen, if he does run out of gas, then Kahne's right there. What are they saying, Dave, on the 18?
Dave?
We've lost him. He did follow now. All right, so there we got J.J. Yaley there in the 18 car in 2nd place. Kasey Kahne now takes over 3rd spot from Clint Boyer.
Sorensen. 4 to go this time.
Now, if they told him, I don't know what they've told him, because if, you know,
Save fuel and go
around.
fast.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's exactly right. Dave, if they told him, okay, you got fuel, go for it, or we're just going for it?
Go for it and pedal easy.
Okay.
Now, we've had a discussion about long gears before. What does pedal easy mean, Wally?
You and your long gear.
Save fuel. Save fuel, Reed. You can make it, but save some. J.J. Yaley on pit road. Sorry about that earlier. They were short, and they just stopped for a second here and threw fuel into the 18 car.
Kasey Kahne has made his way to 2nd, as Wally said he would.
And he was a second a lap faster than Reed Sorensen. That's not going to be enough,
No,
but
only 3 to go.
But if this guy bobbles just a little bit, Reed Sorensen, Kasey Kahne's going to be there to pounce, Alan.
And he just came on his radio, Wally, and asked his team director, Kenny Francis, is the 41 going to make it? And Kenny's answer was, I don't know. I don't know.
I just saw a car down low. I'm not sure who that was, but that could have been somebody running out of fuel.
J.J. Yaley. More on Sorensen, Dave.
Okay, new definition for pedaling. They said, Reed, pedaler good, pedaler big. Here comes the 9 car. I guess pedal it means drive hard.
Well, you may as well, because you're not coming in.
Stanley, still got 6 seconds, 2 more to go.
So obviously they made a decision. They're going to run out or they're going to win this thing trying. So
See if it'll pick up.
Don't worry about that long gear is what I'm saying, Dave.
Reed Sorensen, just 1 top 5, 5 top 10s
he's out of gas.
this year.
He's out of gas.
Where's out of gas, Jimmy?
And watch Kasey Kahne come roaring by in that red car. They gambled and lost. Kasey Kahne to the lead, and will come to the white flag this time. And there's not even a threat behind him.
And they did what they talked about earlier in the race, or earlier today. Just go out and win the race. Let everybody else do whatever they got to do. This is what these guys need to do to even have a shot at making the chase.
Won 4 of the first 15 races this year, but has struggled since. Tonight, he has led 129 laps of this 250-lap race. This is the final lap. Kasey Kahne came in here 11th in the championship standings, and as Wally said, he's going to beat everybody and put himself in position to make the chase next week at Richmond. Earnhardt goes to 2nd. Kasey Kahne comes off of turn 4. He won last night in the Busch race. Kasey Kahne sweeps at California.
Good run for Earnhardt Jr.
And Clint Boyer.
Yeah, those guys. Earnhardt's going to feel a lot better after tonight with his record here in Fontana going into Richmond next Saturday.
those guys worked hard.
See, Dale Jarrett wound up with a top 10 spot.
He was another car that topped off. Unofficially, Kane 11th in the championship standings right now. 27 points out of 10. No driver clinched tonight. But Matt Kenseth has assumed the championship lead by 16 points over Jimmy Johnson. To pit road, and here is Matt Yoakum.
Every win is special, but every win is important. As they put Kenny Francis, Big Tank Probus. Kenny, can you describe how important this win is for this team tonight?
That's the biggest win of the year so far. You know, we got to race our way into this thing, and tell you what, the guys did a great job. Casey did an awesome job driving tonight. Just unbelievable. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. That's great.
Casey had a big week, had charity events in Washington and here in California Wednesday and Thursday. Came here and won the Busch race last night and celebrates his win tonight here at California. His 5th of the season after winning 4 times in the first 15 races. Big win for him. Big night for Ray Evernham and Evernham Motorsports. Kasey Kahne, one of the popular young stars in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, 26 years old. He's got the checkered flag. His 6th career victory. You know where he got his first NASCAR Nextel Cup win?
I believe that was at Richmond, Bill.
It certainly was. And that's where we'll be next weekend.
Pretty exciting.
I know why the engine builder has a nightmare. Yeah. All right. He heads for victory lane. We head down to Dave Burns.
With Dale Earnhardt Jr., he has a big smile on his face after that. Glad to come out of here with 2nd place going into Richmond.
Sure, yeah. This is my best finish here, so we're glad really to get a 2nd anywhere, but especially California, these kind of racetracks, we've really turned that around. I'm really proud of my team. My car was great. Congratulations to Casey. And maybe we won't be battling each other for the chase. Maybe we'll both make it.
Unofficially 7th going into next week, Junior. I know that's not 2nd or 3rd, but it's a little pad.
Well, hey, just good runs, no matter what. It's 1 week at a time, and having a good finish is having fun, and that's what it's all about. And I don't really get into the pressure of the chase or trying to make the chase. The pressure is trying to run good, no matter what. And I'm happy for my team. Everybody, Tony Jr. made great calls. My team did great. I can't say enough about DEI and my team. I mean, they've really done everything that they could for me this year, and I'm so proud of them.
A big West Coast rebound for the 8 bunch. Matt?
And Jeff Gordon unofficially will leave Fontana 4th in the championship standings. Jeff, what a drive from 25th all the way back up to 5th.
Yeah, it certainly was. I hate that happened to us. We had a great car and we're in great position, and we just wanted to be safe, and we had such a good car that we were fortunate to be able to drive from the back up to the front. But I just got to thank Steve and all the guys making great calls, great pit stops on the DuPont Chevrolet Monte Carlo. And I knew that 9 car was the car to beat, and we had them in our sights at times, and I guess we should feel pretty fortunate to come home 5th.
First top 5 here in 2.5 years for Jeff Gordon. Alan?
And in victory lane, where Kasey Kahne is cooling down and getting ready to climb from his car. It's going to be a happy place here. Any question what this win means to this team, I think, was just answered. Congratulations. Could you have imagined this night going as well as it did? One section accepted. Could you imagine the night turning out like it did?
Not really. This was an unbelievable night to fall down a lap there. I just got over the speed limit. I didn't even notice it. I think it was just that close. We were right on the edge, and these guys fought back, had great pit stops. Dodge Dealers, UAW Dodge Charger was really fast all night, and we got better when the sun went down for sure. I just can't thank this team enough. They worked their butts off trying to get us back in this chase, and this is the only way we can do it, is to lead the most laps and win a race, and at least it'll give us hope at Richmond next week.
When you got the penalty and were shuffled back to 24th, was there ever a thought of, okay, it's over tonight?
No thought at all. I was all out, man. We had to get back to the front, and Kenny did 2 tires. I think I passed about 10 cars, and then we did 2 tires and went from 12th to the lead, or to second behind Junior, and then battled by Junior and led some laps. So awesome engine, Evernham engine, the best engine I've ever had, and just everybody that supports this team, Stanley, McDonald, Siemens, the UAW, they're all great people. Hopefully we can make the chase for them.
You're now 11th in points as you were, but you're now just 30 behind 10th place going to Richmond. A thought?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how far we'd be back, but you know, 30's a lot closer to 90, and could have been a lot worse than 90. So it's a big jump. Anything can happen at Richmond. It's going to be a wild race there, and hopefully we're on a good side of things. We got 5 wins. That's the most out here.
Congratulations on a great night.
Thanks a lot.
Casey Kane, winner tonight in California, and a huge win, Bill.
A big hug from his mom. NBC Sports live in Fontana, California for the Nextel post-race report. We continue our coverage with Dave Burns.
And with Carl Edwards now, who pulls down a 4th place finish. You needed a miracle tonight. That wasn't quite it, was it?
No, we needed a miracle, but I'll tell you what, I had a good time, and that's what this is about. And I guess we're mathematically out of it now, somebody said. So congratulations to Casey to sweep the weekend. That was cool. And I guess we'll just go out for 11 races, have a good time, try to win something, and prepare for 07.
Did you feel after last week, had you sort of counted yourself out, even though it wasn't mathematical, or is this the big letdown now?
Well, really, the big letdown was earlier in the year. We just kept having the bad luck, but it's still not let down, man. I get to live my dream, get to have a good time, race these cars. Office Depot's going to be on board for another couple years, so maybe we can get them in the chase next year.
Carl's first comment to me was, running the high line sure is fun here at California, Matt.
Dave, on the way out here, Clint Boyer found a lucky penny, taped it to your dash. It looks like that helped to pay off for your career best finish, 3rd. How close were you to running out?
Maybe that was God's way of paying back for the Michigan running 3rd and blowing up a 2 to go. So, you know, just an incredible call by Gil to come back in, top off of fuel. And I tell you, everybody had to pit, you know, and we stayed out and gambled. And it's just neat to, you know, finally have something go our way. Jack Daniels Chevrolet was decent all night long. I think it was about an 8th to 10th place car. And, you know, really proud of Gil for stepping up, making a good call, and having a payoff.
This team has gained so much momentum. Are you excited about going on next week to Richmond?
Yeah, we've been running good. You know, we do have the momentum. It's just frustrating not to get to finish at the end of the day. But, you know, that's a step in the right direction, and we're on our way.
Clint Boyer finishes 3rd here in Fontana. Marty?
A hard-fought 12th place finish for Mark Martin, and you guys were terrific during the daytime. Were you surprised the track didn't tighten up for you at night?
Yeah, the car got loose at night instead of tight, and we weren't prepared for that. Man, I want to thank the fans. They've been so awesome, and we went down fighting tonight. You know, we gave it everything that we had, and I'm proud of my team, you know, for fighting as hard. And you know, we got a 12th place finish, but there was a time in the race when I really thought we were a threat to win it, but the car just never did handle right once it got dark.
You're still in 10th. How do you feel about things going into Richmond?
The race is on. You know, I've been fighting and gouging in that 6 car for 19 years, and you know, I'm gonna fight and gouge till the very end, no matter what happens with the chase. You know, it's been a great year with AAA and all, and I'm gonna go down swinging.
It's gonna be fun next Saturday night.
With team owner Ray Evernham. Ray, watching your team under the circumstances they faced all weekend and performing tonight, what are your thoughts?
That's the way champions act. You know, they're good under pressure, and they knew they had to come here, lead the most laps, and win the race, and run good up front all night. And then, you know, to have them run 1, 2, 3, I think it's the first time in my history that we had the cars running 1, 2, 3, and it was just really great to see. It shows how hard the guys are working together. And you know, thank the Dodge dealers and UAW and Valvoline and everybody for sticking with us.
From a team owner's perspective, the guy that has to deal with the sponsors, how important is next week to you?
It's important, you know, obviously, but every win's important. You know, if we make the chase, great. We've got to go and do the same thing next week, but we also know where we were weak and what put us in this position. And, you know, we're going to work on it. We're doing all we can do, and that's all you can do. And just want to let the White family know that we're thinking about them, and we miss you, Kevin.
That's the tire specialist for the team who was not here. His mother passed away earlier this weekend. Bill?
Thanks, Alan. Here are the unofficial results from tonight's race at the California Speedway. Kasey Kahne started 9th at Charlotte and won. This is the first time he started 9th since then and won. Led the most laps. Got himself in position to get into the chase. Junior, Clint Bowyer, Carl Edwards, Jeff Gordon gets 5th. Matt Kenseth comes back for 7th. Dale Jarrett topping off. Got himself a top 10. Jimmy Johnson, 11th.
Elliott Sadler wound up 13th. He was obviously one of those guys that did take tires.
It was fun watching Scott Riggs up front. He ends up 17th. There you see Jeff Burton in the 16th spot. One of the guys trying to lock into the chase. Jimmy McMurray comes home 20th. Reed Sorensen.
They went for it.
He did. Finishes 21st for the effort.
Well, these guys had a rough night from about 22nd, 23rd on. Kurt Busch, definitely a rough night.
The rookie, David Gilliland, in the 32nd spot. And on down to Terry Labonte, finished 40th. Brian Vickers, Bill Elliott, and Robbie Gordon round out the field. Here are the unofficial championship standings. 1 race to go. Matt Kenseth is the new championship leader by 9 points over Jimmy Johnson. And remember, 5 points separate each of these guys when we reset the field after Richmond. Kevin Harvick did not clinch, but will with almost virtually any finish next week. And then from Kyle Busch, even from Jeff Gordon on back. You can see Kasey Kahne, 30th out of 10th. Marty Snyder.
Well, Bill, early in this race, it looked like Kyle Busch was the man to beat. What happened late in the race, though, Kyle?
We just kept missing a handle on the car at the end of the runs. You know, the car was very, very fast in the beginning. We could kind of take off and lead for a couple laps or whatever, but then we just get a little bit loose off the corners. So it was a good run for the Kellogg Chevrolet, though. That's all we needed. We just need to keep fighting the way we've been fighting with top 10s and top 5 finishes, and that's as good as we had for them tonight. But, you know, it's kind of weird coming down to the end of races like that, having to fend off by fuel mileage or tires or 4 or 2, whatever. But still, all in all, hopefully it's a good show for the fans. We had fun inside the cars, and ended up being a good, cool night. So we'll go on to Richmond.
5th in the championship standings heading into Richmond. How do you feel about things?
I feel good about Richmond. You know, 3 runs there, we finished better than 5th all 3 times. So if we can go there and do what we've done the past 3 times and just have a good, solid run again, you know, I think we'll be fine. And I think you'll see the number 5 Kellogg Chevrolet strong in the chase and going to Loudon trying to win that thing.
You gonna worry about points for the next 7 days?
You can't. I mean, all you're going to do is just put your stomach and everything else into an uproar. So you might as well just go after it and do it when you get there at Richmond.
Kyle Busch 5th in the championship standings, hoping his place in the chase is secure. Dave?
And Denny Hamlin, you know, reasonably secure. I guess the one thing is, though, that a great finish here, and you get to go home next week.
Yeah, it's good to go home and finish this thing up. And we're looking at it as we got 11 more, not 1 more. So, you know, we feel like we're you know, good enough to make this chase, and you know, kind of sick of finishing 6th all the time, but I'd like to have those top 5s, but still a great run for us.
This is a race that had a lot of strategy going on at the end. How did you feel overall performance-wise with your team tonight?
To have a top 5 car all night long, especially when you know, this goes from day to night, is extremely odd. And you know, I think the 9 had the best car all day. We just you know, came up a little bit short, but I'm very proud of the whole FedEx team and all the effort they put in.
And you feel like you've been pacing yourself enough to have enough juice for the last 10?
Yeah, I was digging just as hard as I could. I was just upset to see that scoreboard, and we were in the teens or something after we've been running top 5 all day with those guys trying to risk it on fuel. But you know, a few of them beat us on fuel, but still 6 is not bad.
All right, Virginia native Denny Hamlin goes home next week, tries to improve his position even more. Bill?
Thanks, Dave. Unofficially 102 points from 4th to 11th. And guys like Kyle Busch can say they're not going to be thinking about it between now and the time to get to Richmond.
They are going to be thinking about it. I don't care what they say. And as soon as the interview was over,
yes,
he was thinking about it
then. It'll be a long week for those guys, and barring a tie mathematically, only 10 of these 11 guys are going to make it. Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle mathematically eliminated tonight. So it's 11 guys for 10 spots when we go to Richmond, Virginia next week. One of the most exciting tracks on the NASCAR Nextel Cup circuit. The final race before the chase begins.
Should be fun.
It's a combination short track and super speedway, so almost anything can happen there. You can get caught up in somebody else's mistake, or your car could go away.
Yeah, there's a lot that can happen, but I'll tell you one thing about Richmond, you'll definitely see great racing. I mean, it's a fun race to watch.
It's a fantastic track. We'll go there next week. You'll see it on TNT. Our coverage begins with Bud Pole qualifying on Friday night. Casey Kane in victory lane, his 5th win of the season. And he puts himself in position to get into the NASCAR Nextel Cup chase for the championship next week. He's 11th behind Burton, Martin, Stewart, Hamlin, Earnhardt, Busch, Gordon, and Harvick. Johnson and Kenseth already locked in. It's a track where Casey Kane got his first Nextel Cup win, and he'll be looking for his next Cup Series win when we get there and drop the green flag on Saturday night. And we'll look forward to having our buddy Benny Parsons back with us when we get to Richmond next week for all the action. So these guys are going to take some photos. We'll go through post-race inspection, and then they will start worrying about what can happen next week at Richmond. TNT's your home for NASCAR next weekend. Friday's coverage starts at 6 p.m. with Bud Pole qualifying, followed by the Busch Series race. Then it's the final race before the chase, the Chevy Rock and Roll 400 from Richmond. Our coverage begins at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with the Bank of America Countdown to Green. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, it's your late local news. So Casey Kane comes to California, wins the Busch race on Saturday, and does what he has to do on Sunday night. Takes his team and his hopes to victory lane. He's got one more crack. Enjoy your week, everybody. These guys will be sweating it, and we'll be ready to rock and roll at Richmond next weekend.